as easily. So we just got to urge people again, if we having this conversation stops one person from dying in a flood in their car, then we've used this time on national television quite well.
All right, let's use this time a little more wisely as well. How about answer some questions about surge? Thank you, Chris, for your question this evening, asking what is the possibility of storm surge for downtown Mobile, Alabama?
Now that's an excellent question, and that's because Mobile is not on the immediate coast, right? You don't have to be on the beachfront of the Gulf of Mexico to get storm surge flooding. And that's because look at Mobile Bay here. And let's say, for example, the circulation center comes in somewhere to their west. That means you get onshore flow into the area of Dauphin Island and the coastal Alabama. But also the top end of Mobile Bay and up near Mobile itself could get storm surge flooding. I remember when Katrina came ashore over here at the Louisiana-Mississippi border in 05, we still got a tremendous storm surge up into Mobile Bay. And if it were to come on shore on the other side of Mobile Bay, then that would greatly lessen the storm surge threat. So, these complex coastal areas, Mike, you don't have to be on the beach to get storm surge flooding.
You got to be careful. So many different threats, and it depends exactly where you are and how the geography plays out. Dr. Knabb, thank you very much. And we actually have another question I'm going to answer here this evening. We've got a question about schools. Chris asking, what is the possibility of storm surge? That's the Mobile one. We had another question. Catherine, what was the question again?
Austin asks.
There we go. Austin asks, you guys think schools in the Panhandle will be closed tomorrow? In fact, they are. The Escambia School District has canceled classes for tomorrow, wanting you to be prepared, I'm sure. And so if kids are at school, last thing they want to do is have them there, and you and your family aren't as prepared as you need to be. So let's talk about that forecast. It does now include potential tropical storm force winds getting in here by the afternoon to Pensacola, sitting right in here. So it could happen around lunchtime tomorrow. You could be looking at tropical storm winds. And then because it's moving so quickly, this thing could be interior Louisiana, Mississippi by later tomorrow evening, 24 hours from now. This thing could potentially be inland depending on exact track that it takes. How about those winds? Now this evening, not too bad at all. Okay, a place like Mobile, light winds for us right now, same in Panama City. Gulfport, we could be looking at winds gusting as high as say 20 miles per hour, but things quickly ramp up for us. And by tomorrow morning, we're looking at higher winds. And by tomorrow evening, a place like Gulfport could even be looking for 75-mile-per-hour winds tomorrow evening through around midnight tomorrow. In Mobile, 20 to 25-mile-per-hour winds with gusts that are higher than that. Now on Panama City, we're probably going to be a little bit farther removed from the eye. So our winds should be a little bit lighter here, but notice at least in this depiction where it's got a center that's a little bit closer to coastal Louisiana, you could have higher wind gusts in a place like New Orleans here. Winds could be 15 to 20 with gusts that'll be higher than that. Then let's fast forward then through Wednesday. It's still breezy here. Winds 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts. Winds start to back off for you though in a place like New Orleans. We want you to stick around because as Tropical Storm Gordon moves towards the Gulf, people in New Orleans, they're definitely getting ready, and that's where meteorologist Paul Goodloe is tonight.
That's right, Mike. Schools are closed here across much of the New Orleans area, as well as a big concern for flooding. We'll talk about why this city is such at risk for flooding compared to even areas farther south of here. It can do better with heavy rain than the city of New Orleans. We'll talk about the uniqueness of this and how much rain it will take to overcome the pumps that are built here to help this city deal with flooding. It's all coming up as Tracking Gordon continues on the Weather Channel.
Olay Regenerist wipes out the competition. Hydrating better than $100, $200, even $400 creams. With our B3 complex, beautiful skin doesn't have to cost a fortune. Olay.
Jane, this is Jim from OnStar. I've contacted help, and they're on their way.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm going to stay with you until help arrives.
Thank you. Dear, it just came out of nowhere.
Nothing beats the comforts of home. Introducing new Scott Comfort Plus. It's 3 times stronger for unbeatable comfort. It's how Scott Comfort Plus families keep life rolling.
Michelin Premier. Safe when new, safe when worn.
There are paint projects, and then there are paint projects. With Labor Day savings, you can save on both. Right now, get our lowest prices of the season with $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensimist relieves all your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't. And all from a gentle mist you can barely feel. Flonase Sensimist.
Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy.
With instant acceleration, electric cars are more fun to drive and more affordable than ever. Electric cars are here. Plug in to the present.
Fact is, there are over 9,600 roads named Park in the U.S. It's America's most popular street name, no matter what park you live on. One of 10,000 local Allstate agents knows yours. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
At the store or to your door. Target run and done.
Don't forget that the past can speak to the future.
I'm going to be your substitute.
Don't assume the substitute teacher has nothing to offer. Same goes for a neighborhood. Don't forget that friendships last longer than any Broadway run, Mr. President. Don't settle for your first draft or your 10th draft. You get to create the room where it happens. Just don't think you have to do it alone. The powerful backing of American Express. Don't live life without it.
We are tracking Tropical Storm Gordon for you, and in Gulfport, Mississippi, they're bracing for Gordon, which could potentially be a hurricane as it approaches the northern Gulf Coast here. And people today hard at work filling up sandbags, going to the fill locations here and filling up their sandbags and potentially guarding against any flooding. There could be storm surge flooding. There could be rainwater flooding. So two different ways we could have impacts from water. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Gordon this evening and answering your questions tonight. And we've got a question tonight that comes to us via Twitter from Nico asking, are the surge effects of Gordon on Biloxi going to be similar to Hurricane Nate last year? Let's hand that one over to Dr. Knapp. Dr. Knapp, remind us about Nate and what Gordon's similarities could be.
Yeah, Nate was not a major hurricane when it came ashore in the northern Gulf Coast, and we did see some storm surge flooding on the Mississippi coastline, but I would be wary of directly comparing this event because every hurricane has its own DNA and its own personality. Even if you didn't get flooded in Nate, you could get flooded in this one if it comes in a little bit different direction, which it will, and might be stronger, or you just might be just in the wrong spot. So got to evacuate if told to do so, even if you got through Nate okay. Here's the forecast for Gordon, and it is forecast to strengthen. Even if it was forecast to be a tropical storm, it could bring storm surge, but it's forecast to be a hurricane. Not the largest hurricane in the world probably, but strong enough and large enough to bring storm surge to what is one of the most vulnerable areas in the entire country to storm surge. We could see 3 to 5 feet of salt water above normally dry ground. When you combine surge and tide near the coast, that's what could happen. Now, we might catch a break if it comes in at low tide, but if the tides are higher at the time of landfall, then this could be realized. But this is just a broad brush of what could happen somewhere within that orange area on the Mississippi coast. Let's take a look at where the storm surge warning is in effect. Not surprisingly, in that same general area all the way to Dauphin Island, Alabama, because when you get to about 3 feet above normally dry ground, that's when we consider the storm surge flooding to be the danger of life-threatening storm surge. But that's the big picture. Let's look at where some of the hot spots are on the Hurricane Center's potential storm surge flooding map. This is not a depiction of exactly what will happen everywhere, but it highlights the hot spots that could experience the storm surge flooding. And when you get into the yellow colors, you're talking 3 to 6 feet above normally dry ground, and you can see some of the areas lit up along the Mississippi coastline. Let's take a look at one particular hotspot, for example, the Bay St. Louis area. You don't have to be on the immediate beachfront in order to get storm surge flooding. If the circulation center, for example, were to come ashore to the west of them, then you could get the onshore push into the bay and some areas inland from the immediate beachfront, but near the bay could get some storm surge flooding. If you go farther to the east, Pascagoula area, the Biloxi area, again, not necessarily right on the beachfront, but in the bays, could experience flooding as well. So if you're not thinking that 3 feet of storm surge is a big deal, let's pretend we're in it, right? If you were to get 3 feet of storm surge flooding above normally dry ground, then you are talking about life-threatening storm surge, because water is very heavy, very dense, very powerful. And it can, with just a foot or two of water, can take a vehicle off of its tread and send it washing away. And imagine if you got a child in water like this, that's definitely life-threatening. But even for somebody my height, it could be very, very dangerous, because the water is going to be moving, it's going to have debris in it, and it will have waves on top of that. What if we raise it up to the 3 to 6 foot threshold? This is what could happen in some parts of the Mississippi coastline. You are really not going to want to be there if this happens in your coastal community. So you've got to pay attention to local officials who might be telling you to evacuate, Mike, because storm surge historically has been the deadliest hurricane hazard of all.
All right, Dr. Nab, thank you. Storm surge, not the only threat we're looking out for from Tropical Storm Gord. We're breaking down each threat city by city, hour by hour, to keep you and your family safe and prepared. Also taking you back live to New Orleans, Louisiana, with meteorologist Paul Goodlow and the biggest risks we face there. It's all as we continue to track Tropical Storm Gordon live on the Weather Channel.
People everywhere are confusing Quilted Northern for a bouncy castle. They're both durable, flexible, and nice to have at parties. But Quilted Northern is not a bouncy castle. It's just really nice toilet paper.
Here we go. Discover. I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really? Yeah.
We just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with the top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
There's an opportunity in every window. A view connecting in here to an entire world of out there. So start your day opening the window to your weather with AMHQ. Watch Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno looking out at the stories and the science behind your forecast. Open up your mornings with AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Currently in our area, 83 degrees under sunny skies. Tonight, some clouds. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Low 72. Winds southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tuesday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 81. Chance of rain 90%. Tuesday night, thunderstorms. Low 71. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
touchofmodern.com, things you'd never think possible are totally attainable. The shoes are handmade, the furniture glows, the drones fly themselves. For a limited time at touchofmodern.com, get up to $300 in store credit. You'll find everything from high-quality watches, fashion, tech, and home. We bring something new and unexpected to your life every day. And right now, we're offering you up to $300 in store credit. Discover how at touchofmodern.com.
Heather is trying to learn French online.
I drink goat milk at the library.
Janice is succeeding with Babbel. With 14 languages, Babbel gets you conversational fast for real-life situations. You'll be speaking with confidence in no time.
Deux croissants, s'il vous plaît?
D'accord. And for you?
The octopus wants to date me.
Babbel, start your conversations. Download the app or go to babbel.com and try it for free today.
Tropical Storm Gordon likely to take aim at the northern Gulf Coast, including in Louisiana and also including New Orleans. Meteorologist Paul Goodlow joins us live from New Orleans tonight. Paul, as the sun sets now and folks go to bed, they might just now be turning on their televisions, realizing what could be coming their way. Outline it for us, what the risk might be there in New Orleans.
The risk here mainly flooding from heavy rain. The city of New Orleans is actually below sea level. They have pumps in case it does rain heavily to pump the water out, but those pumps are limited. We're talking an inch for the first hour of rain it could pump out, then a half inch of rainfall every hour after that, so it can easily be overwhelmed. And that's at the pumps running at their highest, at good capacity. Last summer they had some pump issues, and from time to time they have pump issues. We had flooding last summer just from general thunderstorms coming through. That's the big concern. People are now looking at us and the local news and realizing this thing actually is forecast to be a hurricane before it makes landfall, maybe a little bit over 24 hours from now. By the way, we're under a tropical storm warning here in Louisiana, just maybe 60 miles east as you start towards the Mississippi border on. That's a hurricane warning. So we could be upgraded to a hurricane warning tomorrow as well. So let your guard down. And because of that, Orleans Parish Schools, St. Tammany, Jefferson, Lafourche, St. Bernard Parish Schools all closed, amongst other schools as well. And even the governor here in Louisiana, Governor John Bel Edwards, is warning his residents to be prepared.
This storm is still a very real threat to Louisiana. Nobody should think that we're out of the woods just because it is the Mississippi and Alabama coast that currently are under hurricane warnings.
And let's take a look at the track with Gordon again. It's forecast to become a hurricane before landfall sometime tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. Now, if that track holds, the center of Gordon should make landfall east of us, which means we escape the right front quadrant, the strongest part of a tropical storm or a hurricane. But hurricanes, tropical storms, they're not single points. They are kind of systems. So the big concern is we have rain bands spiral in before landfall, during landfall, and after landfall, and that could overwhelm the pumping capacity here in the city. So that's still a big concern. Ideally, we get an inch or two of rain for the entire system. It moves inland, no longer a threat here in New Orleans. You know, we have a big scare, everything's great. People are still, even today, sandbagging and preparing for the worst. But what if that doesn't happen? What if it stalls out, or we get unlucky and have the persistent bands as the thing is still moving but still set up here in the city? We could have maybe 3 to 6 inches of rain, depending on the time scale. That could be a big problem here in New Orleans, Mike. So definitely, we're still not out of the woods, but let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully that the speed and the bands don't set up here and give us a lot of flooding concerns here in New Orleans.
Yeah, very good point. That is meteorologist Paul Goodlow live tonight in New Orleans. Paul, thank you very much. Back here now with our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, and we're going to answer some more of your questions tonight because we know you have a lot of them. We're going to start tonight with our Twitter question that comes in about damage, and we're going to have a lot of questions about surge tonight as well. So how about this one? Surge effects of Gordon on Biloxi going to be similar to her? I think we already answered this question. What's our next question that we have? This one from Kevin asking, between moving so fast and building at the time of landfall, will this increase the wind damage?
Excellent question. And, the forward speed being relatively quick has both good things about it and some bad things about it. The good news is it limits the time that it has over water during the next day and change to strengthen. It also limits the time that the winds would be affecting a particular area or how much rain would fall on a particular area, especially the coastal areas. However, it does mean that perhaps a hurricane coming ashore goes farther inland before it weakens, so the wind threat, Mike, goes a lot farther inland than it would if this were a slow mover.
Does that then, do you think, increase our chances for power outages for more people then?
It does, because the power outage problem doesn't take hours and hours to unfold. You get just a short period of really strong gusts, you can take down some trees, you can take down some power lines. So even if it's a quick moving storm and just an hour or two of strong winds, you could still have a power outage that could last for days.
Yeah. It doesn't take but an instant for it to not get your power. All right, now thank you very much for that question tonight. We've got another one this evening as well. And again, if you're with us this evening, you can quickly send us a tweet using the hashtag WUTV. Any chances of the storm getting stronger than the 75 to 80 mile per hour?
Possible, and the reason for that is the small size of the hurricane, of the tropical storm, and eventually when it makes landfall, probably as a hurricane, it could still be small. And the best way to show you this is on the radar. Earlier today, we saw the core starting to take shape right there off of Fort Myers and Naples, so it already appeared small. And Mike, when it's a small system, then it doesn't take long for the pressure to drop and for the banding to happen and for the latent heat release to focus all the energy. A large sprawling system is like a big lumbering person who just can't start running really quickly. But somebody small has got their legs going really fast, ramps up really fast.
And there's not a lot working against it at this point.
No.
Wind shear is not going to be a huge problem. No. Sea surface temperatures are pretty warm. The core of it, as you mentioned, is there.
Yeah, the fuel is there, and it's not just average lukewarm sea surface temperatures. These are temperatures in the middle to upper 80s, and it doesn't need a deep reservoir of warm water because it's moving so quickly. It's not going to upwell any cool water to hinder its intensification, and the wind shear is weak. So it's got everything going for it except for a limited amount of time.
We wish this thing would just hurry up and get there and maybe keep it from getting so strong. All right, another question tonight, and our next question comes to us from It's Mapping. Any chance of flooding from Gordon when it comes to inland? If yes, will it be bad?
Yes, and possibly yes, because the immense amount of moisture that this storm is going to bring inland means that we could have not just some flash flooding along the coastal areas of Mississippi, which is the greatest concern tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, but this is Wednesday night into Thursday. And Mike, we've showed this before, but watch this moisture from Gordon right here make its way across the southern Gulf states, and then through Arkansas, and then through Oklahoma, and then arguably some of it gets up into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio this weekend.
Where we've had flooding issues already. So.
Yeah, you don't want any more tropical moisture, but Gordon might bring a little bit more.
All right, we've got time for one more question before the end of the show tonight. Steph asking, we live in Gulfport, Mississippi, 600 feet from the beach. Do you recommend boarding up even if your home is at 30-foot elevation?
Well, let me put it to you this way. If I lived in a place where there was a hurricane warning up, and I had unprotected windows, I would not feel safe. So protect those windows however you can in your particular situation.
Great stuff tonight, Dr. Knabb. Everyone, thank you so much for your questions. We hope you have a safe night, but don't go anywhere. Live coverage as we track Tropical Storm Gordon continues through 1 o'clock Eastern Time tonight. Meteorologist Nick Walker, Carl Parker, Jackie Jarris with you. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock.
Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
Jardiance asked, and now you know. Jardiance is the only type 2 diabetes pill proven to both reduce the risk of cardiovascular death for adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and lower A1C with diet and exercise.
Jardiance can cause serious side effects, including dehydration. This may cause you to feel dizzy, faint, or lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may be fatal. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, and trouble breathing. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of ketoacidosis or an allergic reaction. Symptoms of an allergic reaction include rash, swelling, and difficulty breathing or swallowing. Do not take Jardiance if you are on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Other side effects are sudden kidney problems, genital yeast infections, increased bad cholesterol, and urinary tract infections, which may be serious. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you have any medical conditions.
Isn't it time to rethink your type 2 diabetes medication? Ask your doctor about Jardiance and get to the heart of what matters.
Good evening, I'm meteorologist Paul Gertho, live in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're waiting upon the impacts of Tropical Storm Gordon. Perhaps 24 hours or less could strengthen into Hurricane Gordon. We'll have live coverage from here. In fact, the entire Gulf Coast states on the ground here as Gordon approaches through the duration of this event. We also have live coverage in the studio. Let's go there now and say good evening to Jackie Jarris and Nick Walker.
All right, thanks so much, Paul Goodlow. And we are continuing to follow this storm as we get into the nighttime hours. Now we're going to find ourselves with a strengthening storm, we think, Jackie, over the next several hours.
Yeah, so that last advisory that came in at 8 o'clock Eastern time showed that the winds have increased and are now at 60 miles per hour. Our pressure at 1,003 millibars, and it's moving west-northwesterly at 17 miles per hour. As it continues to pull away, we are expecting that strengthening to continue, though Florida is still going to have impacts as we head through the rest of the night for tonight. We want to go in depth with our coverage on Gordon and where it's headed and what kind of impacts we can expect. So let's head on over to our storm specialist, Carl Parker, and it looks like we may have a hurricane for landfall, Carl.
Yeah, Jackie, I think the big thing here is that there is not a lot of time before this thing comes in. It's going to be moving in during the day tomorrow. So you've really got, if you're in the northern Gulf Coast, northwest Florida, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, southeastern Louisiana, you've really got tonight and tomorrow morning. That's about it, because the storm is going to be coming in the afternoon tomorrow and then really coming in by late tomorrow. And it could very well be a hurricane by that time. Now, the good thing is it's moving right along, so that's going to give it about a good solid day out of the open water. The bad news is it's got a pretty well-formed core, and it could very well become a hurricane. And it's possible that it could become a strong Category 1, or maybe even a little bit stronger than that. Right now, it's forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane right as it is coming on shore. So there you see the particulars from the Hurricane Center, 60 mile per hour wind. And so we don't have very far to go to get to 74 miles per hour to become a hurricane. When you look at the satellite picture here, it's not incredibly well formed on the satellite picture, but there is a well-developed core right in there. And you've got a couple of things here. One is that it's going to be out over the open water, very warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. The shear is going to be relatively light. Generally, when it gets to be about 20 knots or so, that's when it starts to affect the circulation. It's going to be under that. It's going to be in the middle teens over the next couple of days. And so for that reason, we don't expect that shear is going to bother this thing at all. And again, it's got a well-formed core. So that's why it is forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane as it comes into the northern part of the Gulf Coast. And that's going to be later in the day tomorrow. So you should start preparing now for the possibility of a Category 1 hurricane. Storm surge warnings in effect in southern parts of Alabama, Mississippi, also into Louisiana. Looking at the potential for storm surge here, 3 to 5 feet. You've got this sort of a concave nature to the coastline there. That really allows water to pile up just to the east of that center, north of that center in particular. So it's going to be life-threatening storm surge. The only good news here is that it will be coming in at a time when we're going to be looking at low tide. So that's going to help a little bit, but it's still going to be life-threatening storm surge. Also, hurricane warnings in effect southern Alabama, southern parts of Mississippi, where we could see hurricane force winds. Probabilities are fairly low right now, but the probabilities are very high that we're going to get tropical storm force winds, and that could very well cause power outages. Also, a lot of very heavy rain on the way here across a lot of the Gulf Coast. We're going to talk more about that coming up. Jackie, over to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Carl. Well, we want to get you updated on what we know right now with Tropical Storm Gordon. Several Louisiana parishes, including St. Charles, St. Tammany, and Terrebonne, are distributing sandbags as we speak.
Also word tonight that Grand Isle, Louisiana, under a voluntary evacuation order for Gordon. Storm surge and flooding due to heavy rain, the big concern there.
And in Alabama, several school districts have canceled classes now because of Gordon, including Mobile and Baldwin counties.
We also have tropical storm warnings in effect for parts of the Louisiana coast tonight.
And that includes the city of New Orleans. We want to bring in meteorologist Paul Goodloe, and he is live there. And Paul, are people taking these threats very seriously?
Well, a lot of people didn't realize that even Gordon existed. You got to think about it. This is a holiday weekend, Jackie. A lot of people out here are having a good time, and then they go, maybe we might have some rain late in the weekend forecast. All of a sudden, there's a tropical storm in the Gulf, and that happened this morning. And now we're talking about a potential hurricane by this time tomorrow as it approaches landfall. So a lot of people are kind of surprised by this. If you watch the Weather Channel constantly, this was definitely a possibility. Well, let's talk about the unique threats here in Louisiana. The main threat here, at least in New Orleans, is going to be flooding. They're giving out sandbags. People were sandbagging and grabbing them because flooding is a big concern here in the city. It sits below sea level. So on a good day, a summer thunderstorm could give enough rain to cause some flooding in the city. The pumps, they're up and operational, and they can handle an initial 1 inch in an hour of rainfall. Then after that, a ½ inch every hour. So that's the rainfall or below we need to make sure this city gets through unscathed. I know even last summer they had some times the pumps weren't working properly. They had flooding from general summertime thunderstorms. So it's a big concern here, hence the sandbagging. There are some flash flood watches out here. By the way, we're under a tropical storm warning. That could be upgraded to a hurricane warning as Gordon strengthens as we head on towards Tuesday as well. Coastal flood advisory for Lake Pontchartrain, and a flash flood watch goes in effect noon tomorrow on through the entire day on Wednesday. A lot of schools here have been closed, to just name a few: Orleans, St. Tammany, Jefferson, Lafourche, and St. Bernard Parish schools all closed for Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, depending on the aftermath and cleanup from Gordon. But the big concern is what's going to happen with all that rain. The forecast is for Gordon to continue to move pretty quickly, which hopefully will limit the rain bands and how long they set up over the city. But the worst case scenario is we have enough of the bands kind of sit here and dump rain that it could overwhelm the capacity of the pumps, and that could lead to flooding in the area. And the timing of this is really going to be, Nick, say this time tomorrow, maybe you say rush hour, 5 o'clock tomorrow, right on through maybe 5 o'clock on Wednesday for the biggest impacts here in New Orleans. So hopefully we're going to keep our fingers crossed that the rain bands will be heavier, well, east of us, and we can get through generally unscathed. But there will be wind, and there will be, in some areas here, a lot of rain as Gordon approaches. Nick?
Yeah, we are keeping our fingers crossed for sure for you and for all the folks there in New Orleans. Let's take a look at Key West here tonight. You've been dealing with squalls coming through here tonight, and some gusty winds as well as some rainfall. And Naples, Florida, another place seeing those gusty winds and heavy rain tonight. The gusts have come down just a little bit. We're still seeing gusts up to around 20, 25 miles per hour at last look. But the rainfall has been torrential for some portions of Florida. And Miami, I tell you what, you have picked up an abundance of rainfall here as we've continued to see more of that, with about 2.5 inches of that rain, and over 2 1/3 inches of that has just been in the last 12 hours. It's tapered off here in the last couple of hours, though. Homestead, another story, almost 6 inches of rain in your rain gauge, and 4 inches of that fell just in the last 12 hours. Well, stay with us. We'll have more as we track Gordon all the way until 1 a.m.
Nothing beats the comforts of home. Introducing new Scott Comfort Plus. It's 3 times stronger for unbeatable comfort. It's how Scott Comfort Plus families keep life rolling.
If you have psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats moderate to severe plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
So you'll be here to help protect my car?
State Farm will be here.
Okay. What about here?
Yep, nice. My screen didn't crack.
Thank goodness. What about...
Obviously.
Here?
I don't think so.
That makes sense.
What about here? Here too.
Awesome.
That wasn't my fault.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
COPD makes it hard to breathe. So to breathe better, I go with Anoro.
COPD tries to say go this way. I say I'll go my own way with Anoro.
Once daily Anoro contains two medicines called bronchodilators that work together to significantly improve lung function all day and all night. Anoro is not for asthma. It contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. The risk is unknown in COPD. Anoro won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, glaucoma, prostate, bladder, or urinary problems. These may worsen with Anoro. Call your doctor if you have worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain while taking Anoro.
Ask your doctor about Anoro.
Get your first prescription free at Anoro.com.
What do you have there?
P3. It's meat, cheese, and nuts. I keep my protein interesting.
Oh, yeah, me too. I have cheese and these herbs.
P3 Snacks, the more interesting way to get your protein.
If you're at home asking why, we've got a guy for that.
That's right. Carl Parker looking at the atmosphere. When you get it, you're going to love it. That's well done.
Slow clap.
Use the hashtag WUTV on Twitter.
Yeah, Mom.
And this is going to be fun stuff.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 5 on the Weather Channel.
We nailed it.
The only Emmy-nominated weather network on cable.
When this much rain falls, it is a life-threatening situation.
Is the most essential coverage on TV.
Welcome back. We have two different looks of Tropical Storm Gordon. On the left, you can see how the storm's shaping up on the radar. And on the right, look at the storm dumping rain in Naples, Florida. You can see the gusty wind and the rain that came down here earlier as they've been dealing with those impacts through much of the day today. Gordon, of course, now back over the open waters, heading up towards the north and west, and has been intensifying very significantly as it's been doing so. So all eyes now on the Gulf Coast for the impacts down the line as we head into tomorrow. You know, for millions of people in South Florida, it didn't turn out to be the best beach day, did it, for this Labor Day holiday? Well, Tropical Storm Gordon spun out of a low pressure system into a powerful named tropical storm this morning. And since then, it's been bringing downpours and winds gusting at nearly 50 miles per hour in some places. As NBC's Dan Sheneman reports, that storm packing a punch and on track to pound the southern Gulf Coast in less than 48 hours.
Storm Gordon lashed the Florida Keys Monday morning, bringing high winds and heavy downpours across much of the southern tip of the Sunshine State.
A little afraid to drive because the wind is so strong and the rain is so bad.
Downed power lines cut electricity to more than 4,000. As officials warn tourists and residents alike to stay out of the rough seas, closing Miami-Dade County beaches due to the high risk of rip currents. The deluge prompting warnings of localized flooding before the storm moves on.
I didn't expect it to end up like this. I thought it was just going to be out of bands, rain, not like this.
After pounding Florida, Tropical Storm Gordon is expected to make a quick dash across the Gulf of Mexico, taking aim at the coastline from Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle, and bringing the threat of strong winds, heavy rain, and dangerous storm surge to millions across the southeast. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
All right, we want to get you caught up to date now on some other significant weather that's happening across the country, particularly in the Midwest, where they've been dealing with severe storms tonight. There is a tornado watch, which is in effect for parts of Iowa. This is generally in eastern parts of the state until 10 o'clock Central Time. We've had an active radar here over the last couple of hours. Notice no warnings right now, but there were some tornado reports earlier today. Notice Waterloo still under a flash flood warning at this time, and and Cedar Rapids about to get hit with some really heavy downpours. Here you can see the 3 reported tornadoes. As of right now, we're not hearing any kind of damage, so that's some good news, all of which were in Lynn County. And there you can see one report, Central City, where 2 different law enforcement officers were reporting the tornado on the ground. Well, let's take you down to the south and show you the radar and the thunderstorms that have been hitting the Florida Keys as well as South Florida due to Gordon. Right now, you can see the heaviest storms remain off the coast. A lot of lightning associated with this. Notice from Naples to just south of Tampa, say down towards Sarasota and into Bradenton, you're seeing some of the moderate to light rain showers along the I-75 corridor, and we'll continue to see that rain coming down over the next several hours. Now, this big area of high pressure that's across the southeastern parts of the U.S. has been driving in these easterly winds off the Atlantic coast, and that's what's pulling in that moisture along the I-95 corridor. So looking at Georgia here and the South Carolina coastline, no severe storms right now, but some heavy downpours and frequent lightning, certainly enough that you should be staying inside. And then notice Mobile, Pensacola getting hit with some wet weather and thunderstorms to your north and west right now. This is not related to Tropical Storm Gordon. You will start to feel the effects of Gordon as we head into tomorrow. So keep that in mind, that this is just a little precursor of some moisture moving in. Well, we want you to stay with the Weather Channel as we keep you updated hour by hour with the latest information on Gordon. We're going to be live on the air tonight until 1 a.m. Eastern Time, midnight Central. Don't go away.
Does this map show the Peninsula Trail?
You won't find that on a map. I'll take you there. Take this left. If you listen real hard, you can hear the whales.
Hear that? Our Subaru Outback lets us see the world. Sometimes in ways we never imagined.
Even the most conscientious parents can be distracted. Here are some tips to protect kids in hot vehicles. Put your purse or backpack in the back seat to ensure you look back. Place a visual reminder in the front seat that you have a child in the car. Look before you lock. Make it a habit. If you see a child unattended and can't locate the driver, call 911. If the child is unresponsive, do whatever it takes to get them out safely, including breaking a window. Look before you lock.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with a top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Mommy, we made your Princess Toast!
Oh! I have no idea what's in Princess Toast, but thanks to this USP seal, I know exactly what's in my Nature Made gummies.
Nature Made has the first gummies verified by USP, a nonprofit organization that sets purity and potency standards.
To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. America's Morning Headquarters has you covered.
We've already got some rain out there this morning.
So start every day with the best in weather. Join Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno. Weekday mornings starting at 5 for AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
Introducing the all-new DR Leaf and Lawn Vacuum. Now at our lowest price ever. The DR cleans up acres of leaves and grass while you mow. In the spring, collect dead grass, wet leaves, and twigs from storm damage. Come summer, the DR makes a great high-capacity bagger. And in the fall, turns days of raking into a drive in the park. When it's time to unload, nothing could be easier. Look, just one hand. Plus, with the collector top removed, you've got a rugged utility cart that's great for all kinds of hauling chores. The DR is the most powerful, most versatile lawn machine you can buy.
Call 1-800-708-2105 for a free buyer's guide and DVD. Try a DR Leaf Vac on your own property for 1 year. Free shipping is now in effect, and our easy financing plan lets you make low monthly payments. That's 1-800-708-2105. Online at drleafvac.com.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock. Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
Currently in our area, 82 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, skies clearing overnight. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Low 72. Tuesday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 82. Chance of rain 80%. Tuesday night, thunderstorms. Low 71. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our special coverage of Tropical Storm Gordon. You're looking live here at New Orleans, a balmy 83 degrees right now. A lot of people out there in the French Quarter, but a tropical storm warning is in effect. So is a flood watch. We're expecting quite a bit of rain Tuesday and Wednesday because of Gordon. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards has declared a state of emergency for Louisiana as well in advance of the storm. We want to get you caught up with the latest watches and warnings right now with Gordon. Here's the graphic to show you that a hurricane warning is in effect from the mouth of the Pearl River over towards the Alabama-Florida state line. Surrounding that on both sides, we have tropical storm warnings, which include Baton Rouge as well as New Orleans, Slidell, and then stretching eastward over towards Pensacola. On top of this, we have some storm surge alerts, including a storm surge warning right on the coastal areas of Louisiana, Mississippi, and kind of touching into Alabama as well, and then a storm surge watch surrounding that. So we could be looking at some significant high waters pushing in with Gordon. In fact, 3 to 5 foot storm surge, a good possibility in spots. We want to get over to our storm specialist, Carl Parker, to get a little more detail in on storm surge. And Carl, would you say that surge perhaps is your greatest concern with this storm?
It's certainly among them. You know, water is the big killer when it comes to tropical cyclones. So you've got inland flooding to be concerned about and storm surge certainly as well. And that's really going to be setting up going into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And this is a look at the model forecast showing you where the strongest winds are going to be. You'll see them coming up across the northern Gulf Coast into tomorrow afternoon. So we've got a really strong onshore push at that time, piling up the water and bringing in that dangerous storm surge. So a storm surge warning there across parts of southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, into southeastern Louisiana. These are areas where dangerous storm surge, life-threatening storm surge is expected, and we're talking about a water level rise above normally dry ground of about 3 to 5 feet in southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and about 2 to 4 into southern parts of northwestern Florida, and also southeastern Louisiana. Now, that may not sound like that much, so let's talk about what exactly that means when you get that level of water coming in to the shoreline there above normally dry ground. Well, with just 1 to 3 feet of surge, you're going to be talking about potentially carrying away vehicles. That amount of water can easily do that. 2 feet can easily do that. Large areas will be without power. By the time you get to 3 to 6 feet of surge there, you're talking about really life-threatening surge. A lot of debris gets caught up in that surge. There's just no way that you're going to be able to easily get out of that. So you've got to be well away from the coast if you've got that level of surge coming in. And this could happen in some spots there, especially in southern Mississippi and also into southwestern parts of Alabama. So you're talking about, again, a life-threatening situation that's going to be setting up tomorrow afternoon and also into tomorrow evening.
All right. Thanks so much, Carl. Well, as Carl just mentioned, some areas could see 3 to 5 foot storm surge. Storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel breaks down what type of damage that could cause your home and property.
The biggest threat to life and property with a landfalling hurricane is the flooding that comes with storm surge. A great way to demonstrate the impact of storm surge is through our augmented reality product exclusively here at the Weather Channel. All right, guys, let's bring up the scale. Check this out. All the way from 1 to about 9 feet and beyond. We're going to start here with a 3-foot storm surge. This is very significant because keep in mind, it only takes a couple of inches of water to knock you off your feet and about 1 or 2 feet of water to get a car to float. This is moving water. This is not like the water at your pool. This can do some significant damage. Let's go beyond that. Let's check out 6 feet, all right? Well, up to 6 feet, that's taller than a lot of people, and it can carry your car away, float it away, and also, don't forget, This is nasty water. There could be all kinds of debris inside of there, all kinds of sharp objects, maybe even toxic chemicals. Let's go beyond that. There we go, up to 9 feet. Gosh, if you were on your first floor trying to escape this, you are in real trouble. You've got to go up to the second floor. And then beyond that, guys, imagine that. 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 foot of storm surge. You know what that can do? That can carry your house away entirely. So remember, absolutely, the biggest threat to life and property with a landfalling hurricane is storm surge. So you need to listen to your local officials and act as you are ordered to do so.
If told to evacuate, you definitely need to do that. We are live tonight until 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central, tracking Tropical Storm Gordon.
Whirlwind in your stomach? That's your body calling. Answer the call with whole grains and fiber to support digestive wellness. Special K Probiotic Cereal has both and real peaches and berries. Special K, powering you.
Michelin Premier. Safe when new, safe when worn.
I'm so frustrated. I just want to find a used car without getting ripped off.
You could start your search at theallnewcarfax.com.
That might help. Show me the Carfax.
Now the car you want and the history you need are easy to find.
Show me used trucks with great deals.
Pretty cool.
Show me the Carfax.
Start your used car search and get free Carfax reports at theallnewcarfax.com.
Eucerin has been solving dry skin problems for over 100 years. Try Eucerin Advanced Repair for dry, itchy, rough skin, for immediate relief and 48-hour moisture. Now try Eucerin Advanced Cleanser in the shower.
I don't keep track of regrets, and I don't add up the years. But what I do count on is Boost.
Delicious Boost High Protein Nutritional Drink now has 33% more protein, along with 26 essential vitamins and minerals. Boost High Protein. Be up for life.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with the top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Insurance that won't replace the full value of your new car? You're better off throwing your money right into the harbor. Gonna regret that.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is my doctor. This is my grocer. These are my back roads. Those are my heroes. That was my high school. And this is my privilege.
Since 2005, DISH and our partners have helped bring emergency communications access to disaster areas across the country, so families, friends, and first responders can organize, mobilize, and connect.
Lower carbs. Lower calories. Higher expectations. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Corona Premier.
We there yet?
You don't always use your smartphone for directions.
Okay, guys, out there.
Or to laugh out loud.
You're in the middle. Yeah.
But when it matters most, you count on TracFone to keep you connected for less. Our smartphone plan gives you talk, text, and data with unlimited carryover starting at $15 a month. No contract. All with nationwide 4G LTE coverage. Get top smartphones or bring your own phone. TracFone for moments that matter.
No one can say that we don't like getting our hands dirty. It's an attitude. If something breaks, we don't start wondering if we should fix it. Because for all the new ways of getting dirty, there's a new way of getting clean. New Kleenex Wet Wipes. Made for doers.
If you're at home asking why, we've got a guy for that.
That's right, Carl Parker looking at the atmosphere. When you get it, you're gonna love it. That's well done.
Slow clap.
Use the hashtag WUTV on Twitter.
Yeah, Mom.
And this is gonna be fun stuff.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 5 on the Weather Channel.
We nailed it.
Welcome back. Gordon is likely to become a hurricane now as it moves closer to the Gulf Coast tonight. But right now, the tropical storm is dumping flooding rains and bringing gusty winds to South Florida. You can see those impacts being felt in places like Hollywood and Miami, Florida. And soon, places along the Gulf Coast like New Orleans will come face to face with this storm. Well, Gordon has set off a number of watches and warnings along the Gulf Coast. Louisiana also issuing a state of emergency. Our storm specialist Carl Parker is joining us now to tell us what we can expect from Gordon and what's it doing right now, because things are changing minute by minute here.
Yeah, they are. And, I think the big thing is that there's not a lot of time here. We're talking about a day, essentially, before it starts to really impact the northern Gulf Coast. So you don't have much time at all if you're in northwestern Florida, southern Alabama, Mississippi, southeast Louisiana. You basically have tonight and tomorrow morning, and the winds start to really pick up into tomorrow afternoon. So a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm right now could very well become a hurricane. That is in the official forecast from the Hurricane Center. It's not incredibly well formed on the satellite picture right now, but don't let that fool you, because it's going to be out over the very warm water of the Gulf of Mexico. The wind shear is not going to be very strong at all. So for a lot of reasons, we think it's got a lot of potential to get stronger. It doesn't have very far to go to become a hurricane either. And when you look at the core of the storm, right in there, see a very well-developed circulation. And so that thing is likely going to really begin to pick up some intensity overnight tonight. And we could very well be talking about a hurricane making landfall later in the day tomorrow, somewhere between southern Alabama, Mississippi, and also towards southeastern Louisiana. All of those areas in the potential strike zone of what is likely going to be a smaller system as it comes in. We're looking at the potential for some life-threatening storm surge, southern parts of Mississippi and also southeast Louisiana and southwestern Alabama. You don't want to be anywhere near the coast in these areas. Looking at a water level rise above normally dry ground of about 3 to 5 feet. That is more than enough to cause terrible problems if you're near the water. The only good thing that's going to be happening here is that it's going to be happening during the time of low tide. If it had been a high tide, it might be even worse. But you're talking about serious storm surge flooding coming in. Hurricane warnings also in effect in southern Alabama and in southern Mississippi. And so we're looking at the potential for some hurricane force winds. The probabilities are not extremely high, but they are very high for tropical storm force winds, getting up to 70 to 80% there. So we do expect that at a minimum, we're going to be looking at a pretty broad area of tropical storm force winds, and those will begin to come in during the day tomorrow. This is a look at the earliest time that we could possibly expect to see tropical storm force winds. And there you see, that is 8 o'clock in the morning, already potentially starting to affect northwest Florida. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're coming into southern parts of Alabama as well as into Mississippi. So that's the earliest onset of those tropical storm force winds. So again, this is why we say you don't have a lot of time to prepare, and we will likely see a widespread power outages in southern Mississippi as well as into southwestern Alabama. And that is, again, going to really start to step up going into the afternoon. We're looking at winds, Jackie, probably gusting to around 40, 50 miles per hour in Mobile by late tomorrow afternoon, then picking up to near hurricane force going into the evening hours.
All right. Well, coming up, we're going to show the radar hour by hour to kind of give you a better idea of all that timing that you were talking about at that onset and how long it lasts as well. But right now, we want to get you updated on what we know. The governor of Louisiana has declared a state of emergency ahead of Gordon. Heavy rain, tropical storm force winds, and a storm surge likely in some parts of the state. Also, word tonight that Grand Isle, Louisiana is under a voluntary evacuation order due to Gordon. Storm surge and flooding due to the heavy rain is also a big concern there. And in New Orleans, the city saying that voluntary evacuation of areas outside the levees is underway, because even if they get in on the good side of the storm, as we like to call it, they could get that northerly flow coming in off of Lake Pontchartrain. Well, our Paul Goodlow is in New Orleans tonight. And Paul, it's a holiday weekend. What's going on there? Are people even aware that this threat is out there?
Jackie, a lot of people had no clue that this was even coming, except people who watch the Weather Channel. We're talking about how this could really change and evolve over the holiday weekend, and it has, and perhaps less than 24 hours from now, we could be dealing with a hurricane approaching the Gulf Coast. But here in New Orleans, it is unique threats here with this city sitting below sea level, and they have a series of pumps that will pump out rain up and out of the city to make sure it doesn't flood, but those pumps have their limits. The limit's an inch an hour for the first hour, and after that, every hour, only a ½ inch of rain will be able to get the water out. So flooding is a big concern. They were distributing sandbags across the city today. People were taking advantage of that because they know sometimes, even last summer, just a heavy thunderstorm during the summer caused flooding as some of the pumps weren't operational, working to capacity. So it was a concern from time to time. On a good day, you could have flooding here in New Orleans, let alone when you have a tropical storm or a hurricane approach this area. So it's not just here in New Orleans, but much of this state is concerned, including Governor John Bel Edwards.
Earlier this afternoon, I signed the statewide emergency declaration in anticipation of Tropical Storm Gordon's landfall, and I have authorized the National Guard to activate 200 guardsmen effective tomorrow morning.
State of emergency for the state of Louisiana, for the city of New Orleans. Mayor Cantrell issued a state of emergency for the city as well. Schools will be closed, government offices and courts closed tomorrow as well. Parking will be suspended as of 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. So they're doing everything they can to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And the concern is we have a flash flood watch that goes in effect here starting tomorrow at 2 p.m. By the way, we're under a tropical storm warning, but that could be changed and upgraded to a hurricane warning as Gordon is expected to strengthen to a hurricane tomorrow. But the big concern is that rain. Now, granted, the forecast track holds the landfall will be east of us, which means we have the quote-unquote weaker side of the hurricane and tropical storm, but we still could have major impacts with this. Coastal flood warnings up for the areas around Lake Pontchartrain, including here in New Orleans. But if the system is progressive and moves on through, the weather should go downhill, say, tomorrow late afternoon, and then get better by Wednesday afternoon. But it's tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning, we could see the closest approach to the biggest impacts from this system, which really be the heavy rain and the flood potential here in the city. Ideally, it moves in, it moves out, maybe an inch or two at the most of rain. We could deal with that here. Worst case is you have bands or persistent bands that keep hitting this area, and we could see maybe 3 or 5 inches of rain, Jackie, and that could cause flooding here in New Orleans, a major flooding as well. So we hope that doesn't happen, but it is still on the table here in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, I was just checking the flash flood guidance, by the way, Paul, and it said about 3 inches of what they would need in a short period of time in order to kind of inundate the area and cause some of that flash flooding. I mean, it's such an intricate system there in New Orleans, isn't it? With all the levees and with all the pumps to try and get things out. Is everything working and operational, do you know? Because I know from time to time, not all the pumps work.
Yeah, it's always kind of a crapshoot from time to time here in New Orleans because this system is it's long in the tooth. But the bottom line is that flash flood guidance is for actually outside of the city of New Orleans. The southern parishes, 3 to 4 inches of rain an hour. That's above that, it starts to flood. It's actually lower farther north you go in the state. But the city, you don't have the same flash flood guidance because we're below sea level. It's at the mercy of the pump. So about an inch or so for that first hour, ½ inch after that. That's the big concern here in the city. But last check, the pumps are working, and I know they're doing everything they can do to make sure if something does fail or power issues, they have generators to keep these pumps working, because that is what's going to keep this city as unique as it is if we make sure we keep pumping that water out when we have these heavy rain events. Jackie?
All right. Thanks so much, Paul. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Want to get you update on some of the threats and talk about some specific timing city by city as well. First of all, giving you an update on the flash flood watch that has been issued in this area. And this is for Tuesday through Wednesday night, including the city of New Orleans. It goes all the way up to Jackson, Mississippi, too, by the way, and then stretches into the Florida Panhandle. Rainfall amounts are going to be quite hefty, of course, very near the center of the storm where it comes in and makes landfall, and then just to the right of there. So notice the dark orange area of the big swath where we could be getting 5 to 8 inches, but even inland, even up over here towards Jackson, you could get several inches of rainfall in a short period of time. Here's that radar hour by hour that I was telling you to help you kind of get a better idea of timing. We could see a few stray showers or thunderstorms in the morning for tomorrow, but then here we come as we get into the afternoon. That's when the Florida Panhandle is really going to start to get hit with some of these outer bands and some of the stronger gusty winds. And then notice this moving in on Tuesday evening. Landfall will likely happen sometime on Tuesday night, continuing coverage until 1 a.m. Eastern. Stay with us.
We give every Honda ATV and side-by-side the technology you need to seize the day. Class-leading technology like automatic dual-clutch transmission. Exclusive to Honda, the DCT lets you ride in automatic mode or manual mode, so you get sporty off-road performance and workhorse muscle all in one. And now, you can seize the day and seize the deals with factory-to-dealer incentives on the Honda ATV or Pioneer side-by-side you've been waiting for. It's all happening at the Honda 4-Wheel Clearance Event, going on now.
Here we go.
Discover. I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really? Yeah.
We just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
At Safelite Auto Glass, we really pride ourselves on making it easy for you to get your windshield fixed. With Safelite, you can see exactly when we'll be there, saving you time for what you love most.
At the dinner table, nobody talks about football. I like to teach them there's more important things in life. My name is Ted Ginn. I eat Stouffer's lasagna, and I hunger to coach athletes into men. Stouffer's, what are you hungry for?
People everywhere are confusing Quilted Northern for robes. They're both cushiony, comforting, and add elegance to your home. But Quilted Northern is not a robe. It's just really nice toilet paper.
Hey, Maya, what's up?
Hey, so listen, I was taking another look at your overall financial strategy. You're still thinking about opening your own shop?
Every day.
I think there are some ways to help keep you on track, closer to home.
I'm all ears.
How did Edward Jones grow to $1 trillion in assets under care?
Thanks.
By thinking about your goals as much as you do.
This is a game changer. No scrub deck wash. Game changer.
Game changer?
Game changer.
The moment you take staining to the next level.
Get $10 to $40 off via rebate on select Paint Plus primer and exterior stains.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard. With feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
Who knew?
Yeah. So you're with the UPS store?
Yes. In fact, we printed these right here.
Oh, I thought you guys just did shipping.
No, we do printing, packing, faxing, notarizing, shredding, mailboxing, copying, taping, binding, consulting, designing, returning, storing, grading. Oh, and of course, shipping.
So you're in the shipping?
We also do printing, packing, faxing.
Come into the UPS store today for everything your small business needs. And of course, shipping.
A messy Memorial Day, all from Tropical Storm Gordon. The rain has been coming down hard across part of Florida for much of the day. Miami, you also saw winds more than 30 miles an hour as Gordon passed just to the south of you. So let's get caught up and show you the latest radar imagery with Gordon. There you can see the tropical storm. It's packing winds right now, maximum sustained winds at 60 miles per hour and bringing some of the heaviest showers and thunderstorms offshore. That's because it's pulling away from the Florida coast. But we've been seeing these consistent showers here from Tampa stretching down towards Naples, right along the I-75 corridor. So hopefully any lingering Labor Day travelers are making it through that okay. Farther up to the north, onshore flow and instability has been bringing showers and thunderstorms along the I-95 corridor from Jacksonville up towards Savannah. These are also leading to some heavy downpours and frequent lightning associated with this as well. But that whole area is starting to fizzle a little bit now that the temperatures and the heating of the day are beginning to fizzle. And then we've got some active weather here across southern parts of Mississippi and into parts of Alabama as well. This is not due to Gordon, so you will see additional new rain come in late tomorrow as a result of that. But unfortunately, this is going to be saturating the ground and bringing some of these heavy downpours as it moves across I-20 and across the I-10 corridor also. So active conditions all across parts of the southeast. We will be also watching the threat for some severe thunderstorms leading into tomorrow. A lot of times with tropical systems, as they make landfall, we get enough vorticity associated with some of these thunderstorms that a few tornadoes can develop. Well, parts of South Florida remain under a tropical storm warning, and that includes the city of Naples. That's where we find Mike Seidel with the latest as the storms pushes out to sea.
The #1 impact in South Florida and here in Southwest Florida today from Tropical Storm Gordon was the heavy rainfall. We did get some wind gusts over 50 miles an hour on the southeast coast, but by and large, few if any power outages, and the worst of the cleanup will be palm fronds. Let me take you back to where we started our day. Key Biscayne, southeast of downtown Miami, fully exposed, and look at the heavy rainfall. This squall came through about 7:40. At the time, the wind was clocked just off Miami Beach, South Beach at 56 miles an hour. And the rainfall rates of up to 2 inches an hour. Miami ended up with 2.5 inches of rain today, just under 2 inches in nearby Fort Lauderdale. Then we drove across Alligator Alley, ended up here this afternoon, and picked up where we left off. The squalls on the east side, swirling around Gordon as it moved south of Marco and out to sea. And look at the rainfall, what it did here along the boulevard in Naples. Standing water, some of it about a foot deep, cars running through the water, and just horizontal rain across the area. Some of these squalls producing wind gusts here in Naples up to 37 miles an hour. And then this evening we take the last bit of light and lightning flashing out over the Gulf of Mexico. The tropical storm warning has been discontinued. Better weather ahead, although watch out for the rip currents, especially on the east coast of Florida, continuing during the day Tuesday.
All right, thanks so much. Mike Seidel reporting for us tonight. We're having a lot of questions in here to the Weather Channel tonight about where does Gordon go after it makes landfall, and there have been some concerns down the line of where this tropical moisture ends up, and could it end up over areas that have been experiencing incredible flooding already. Well, this is the latest of what we're seeing for moisture and where that's going to be drawing in. We've got this big area of high pressure, the subtropical high, and that's going to be steering Gordon up towards Mississippi as well as into Louisiana. Notice then that moisture here as we head towards the end of the week. It takes days to do this, moves across parts of Oklahoma and on up into Missouri. There's a trough in the upper atmosphere which then should be picking it up and moving it up towards the northeast, towards the Great Lakes, as well as into New England. This one kind of gives you a better depiction. This is the Euro model showing you where that rainfall is going to be moving in, and notice it makes its way across Mississippi, then on up towards Arkansas, and kind of hooks to the left just a little bit, but then it gets picked up by that trough and moves up towards Iowa, and this is where my concern kind of comes into play. This state been getting hit so hard with flooding, as well as southern parts of Wisconsin, and that's going to inject some additional moisture in there as well as some lift into the atmosphere before it accelerates up towards the Great Lakes. We'll have more on Tropical Storm Gordon. We've got an update coming up at the top of the hour right after this break with continuing coverage. Don't go away.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with the top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and that sunrise something. I honestly feel that way about Jimmy Dean sausage. Get yourself a large chunk of that good morning feeling. Oh, that smells good.
Oh, I have no idea what's in Princess Toast, but thanks to this USP seal, I know exactly what's in my Nature Made gummies.
Nature Made has the first gummies verified by USP, a nonprofit organization that sets purity and potency standards.
Hungry to explore unique flavors? Try new Stouffer's Urban Bistro, with ingredients like Kentucky bourbon, aged in charred oak barrels for that sweet taste. Feed your hunger for flavors like bourbon glazed chicken with new Stouffer's Urban Bistro. Stouffer's, what are you hungry for?
There's an opportunity in every window. A view connecting in here to an entire world of out there. So start your day opening the window to your weather with AMHQ. Watch Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno looking out at the stories and the science behind your forecast. Open up your mornings with AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
Don't forget that the past can speak to the future.
I'm going to be your substitute.
Don't assume the substitute teacher has nothing to offer. Same goes for a neighborhood. Don't forget that friendships last longer than any Broadway run. Mr. President. Don't settle for your first draft or your 10th draft. You get to create the room where it happens. Just don't think you have to do it alone. The powerful backing of American Express. Don't live life without it.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, skies clearing overnight. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Low 72. Tuesday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 82. Chance of rain 80%. Tuesday night, thunderstorms. Low 71. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
The DR Trimmer Mower is the original trimmer on wheels. And over 30 years later, it's still the easiest way to maintain your country property. Trim along fence lines, against buildings and around gardens. Mow down thick grass and weeds and clean out overgrowth on the roughest terrain. Our quick lock trimmer head takes the hassle out of changing cord, making it the easiest to use trimmer ever. Plus, the DR doubles as a 3-inch thick brush cutter with our unique cutting attachment. You can own a DR for as little as $349.99 with free shipping. Hurry, this offer won't last.
Call 1-800-208-4513 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn about the full line of DRs and how you can try one on your own property for 1 year. DR trimmers start at just $349.99 and free shipping is now in effect. Call today, 1-800-208-4513. Online at drtrimmer.com.
Tropical Storm Gordon really whipping up the winds. The wind and the rain has been unrelenting.
We are now watching a tropical storm, a 60-mile-per-hour storm that is not very far away from becoming a hurricane, and it's likely going to become a hurricane as it moves into the Gulf Coast, northern Gulf Coast, and that's going to be starting tomorrow afternoon and certainly so by the evening. So you do not have a lot of time to prepare for this storm. There's the latest from the Hurricane Center, 60-mile-per-hour winds moving west-northwest at 17. Very fast forward motion that's good in some respects. That's going to limit the amount of rain that we get, though we still will get several inches and certainly enough to cause flash flooding well inland, but it's not going to allow the storm a whole lot of time to develop. However, the wind shear is going to be light and the water temperatures are very warm, so it is forecast to become a hurricane right as it is coming on shore, and that is going to be later tomorrow, towards the evening hours tomorrow. That's when the core of that storm is likely going to make it on shore. You look at the satellite presentation right now, and it doesn't look like it's terribly well formed, but take a look at the radar, and you can see this very well-developed core right in there. That is the beginning of the eye wall right there. You see a little semicircle showing up there, and as that thing has time to develop, and oftentimes we see the convection associated with tropical systems really flaring up overnight because you're holding on to the warmth over the water. That doesn't change very much, but it gets colder upstairs, so that increased instability allows the convection to really flare overnight. So it would not be surprising to wake up tomorrow and see this thing getting a lot stronger. Maybe it might even be a hurricane by earlier tomorrow. So this is the model forecast. This is just one model to give you an idea of how this may happen. And you can see the core of the storm coming in towards late afternoon and towards the evening hours. So at that time, we're seeing the winds really picking up there. Northwest Florida, southern Alabama, Dauphin Island, into southern parts of Mississippi, Pascagoula, Biloxi, and then over into New Orleans as well later in the day. And you've got a big push of water onshore at that time. So we're looking at a water level rise of 3 to 5 feet there in southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, and then 2 to 4 on the edges of that in parts of Louisiana and in northwest Florida, and also in Mobile Bay. So that is really significant, life-threatening storm surge. Remember, you've got to get away from the coast as the core of the storm is coming onshore, because that's the type of storm surge that can kill you if you are still right along the coast there. And we're also going to be looking at a lot of water inland as well. So coming from both directions, coming from the ocean, being pushed onshore, but a lot of rain coming down, even though the storm is moving along. So we're looking at a large area where we will likely see flash flooding in southern Mississippi, and we're looking at rainfall amounts most likely of about 5 to 8 inches right along the Gulf Coast there. Could very well be some hurricane force winds as well. Southern parts of Alabama, southern Mississippi, that's where the hurricane warnings are in effect. So somewhere within that area, we could be looking at hurricane force winds. Certainly tropical storm force winds. Here's another model forecast, and again, it may not happen exactly like this, but it's meant to give you an idea of how it happens. And there you see winds picking up to 40 to 50 tomorrow afternoon, Mobile and Gulfport, and then getting even stronger. There you go, 60 to 75 in Gulfport by tomorrow evening, Jackie. So it's really going to be ramping up tomorrow evening.
Right. So a lot of the worst of the conditions are going to be happening after dark.
Exactly right. Yeah, probably just about a day from now, almost exactly. That's when that core, and it's a relatively small core too. This is not a large hurricane, so the very worst of it's going to be somewhat confined in that sense. But the thing about small systems is that they can change very quickly too. They can get a lot stronger, so it's not outside of the realm of possibility that it could make it to Category 2.
And we've seen a lot of changes already.
We have indeed, yes.
So keep it right here. Well, for millions in South Florida, it didn't turn out to be the best of beach days on this Labor Day holiday. Tropical Storm Gordon spun up out of a low pressure system into a powerful tropical storm this morning. And since then, it's been bringing downpours and gusty winds at nearly 50 miles an hour in some places. As NBC's Dan Sheneman reports, that storm packing a punch and about to pound the southern Gulf Coast states in less than 48 hours.
Tropical Storm Gordon lashed the Florida Keys Monday morning, bringing high winds and heavy downpours across much of the southern tip of the Sunshine State.
A little afraid to drive because the wind is so strong and the rain is so bad.
Downed power lines cut electricity to more than 4,000. As officials warn tourists and residents alike to stay out of the rough seas, closing Miami-Dade County beaches due to the high risk of rip currents. The deluge prompting warnings of localized flooding before the storm moves on.
I didn't expect it to end up like this. I thought it was just going to be out of bands, rain, not like this.
After pounding Florida, Tropical Storm Gordon is expected to make a quick dash across the Gulf of Mexico, taking aim at the coastline from Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle and bringing the threat of strong winds, heavy rain, and dangerous storm surge to millions across the southeast. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
Well, Gordon, not the only tropical threat out there. We want to go back to storm specialist Carl Parker now. And Carl, we have almost a hurricane out there and an invest.
We do, and some very troubling things in the modeling as well in the longer term. You know, the European model, which is a very reliable model, forecasts this storm developing in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's now showing us some other development getting very close to the U.S. coast, going out to about a week to 10 days. Now, this is a look at climatology, and you see where the peak of the season is there. It really ramps up by the time you get into late August and early September. So we're sitting right in there. We're right at the peak of the season. So it's not at all surprising that there is a lot going on out there right now. Here, of course, is Gordon, but then you've got another tropical storm right there. That's Florence. And then there is an invest area that Jackie mentioned just off the coast of Africa. Both of those have some potential to have impacts in the western part of the Atlantic. First of all, Florence, 70-mile-per-hour wind right now, moving west at 15 miles per hour. So it is a strong tropical storm, very nearly a hurricane. It is expected to remain a tropical storm over the next few days here as it moves off to the west-northwest. The big question is, where is it going to go after that? I'm going to show you the European model here in just a moment. And then here is the invest area. And this is now being given a 40% chance of developing within the next 5 days, a 50% chance. And here you see the area of development off towards the west there and out into the central part of the Atlantic. Now, let's take a look at the European model forecast. Let's follow Florence, which is right there, as it moves across and then is driven closer to the coast. So right there, there's Florence. Here's the invest area behind that. So we've got our eyes on both of those features. And then Florence gets closer and closer to the southeast coast of the U.S. So that could be one that we really need to watch. And here's the invest area coming towards the Caribbean. Could be much busier in the next couple of weeks here.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock.
Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
If you use some of these moves way too often, then you might have a common condition called dry mouth, which can be brought on by many things, like medication and medical conditions. Biotine provides immediate, long-lasting relief from dry mouth symptoms. It is clinically proven to soothe and moisturize a dry mouth. Plus, it freshens breath. Biotine, immediate and long-lasting dry mouth symptom relief.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shear she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
You're watching the Weather Channel. We are tracking Tropical Storm Gordon right now. In 24 hours from now, it could be approaches the Gulf Coast, making landfall sometime late tomorrow into early Wednesday morning. We're here live in the city of New Orleans, a city with unique problems when it comes to heavy rain, tropical storms, and hurricanes. We're going to talk about that as we head throughout the evening as we track Gordon. But right now, let's go back to the studio and Jackie Jarris.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. We want to get you caught up to date now with the latest statistics and location of where Gordon is at this time. It is a strong tropical storm, 60-mile-per-hour maximum sustained winds. It's moving west-northwesterly at a pretty good clip, about 17 miles per hour, and it's pulling away from the Florida coast. In fact, it's about 100 miles or so away from Fort Myers at this time. It is expected to intensify overnight, and we could be looking at a hurricane making landfall about 24 hours from now. Well, we want to go in depth with our coverage where Gordon is headed next and some of the impacts that you're going to be seeing coming up. Our storm specialist, Carl Parker, is with us now. And Carl, talk about some of this strengthening. It doesn't seem like there's really anything in the way of the system from preventing it from getting stronger.
No, there really is not. I mean, for one thing, you've got very warm water temperatures in the upper 80s there across the Gulf of Mexico. For another thing, you've got very little in the way of wind shear. When your wind shear gets up to about 20 knots or so, that's when it starts to have an impact on a tropical system, especially a very small one, and this is a smallish one, but it's only going to be at about 13 to 15 knots, somewhere in that vicinity over the next couple of days here, so that's certainly not going to stand in the way of the storm developing. Right now, a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and it doesn't have very far to go to become a hurricane, so there's really no reason to believe that it will not become a hurricane. The only thing that could possibly change that would be internal dynamics if we see some changes to the internal structure of the storm, but it looks fairly solid right now when you look at it on the radar picture. Now, when you look at the satellite picture, it's not incredibly well formed. You might look at that and go, well, that doesn't look like it's all that strong. But there's a core there that's very well developed, and you can really see that when you look at the radar. Take a look at this right in there. You see that little bit of a semicircle right there? That is the developing eye wall. That's like a C shape there. That's half of an eye wall. So it is definitely getting its act together. And another big part of this is that it's over warm water. The warm water doesn't change at all at nighttime, so it's still warm right over the water, but it gets a lot colder in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. So that actually increases the instability. Instability is all about the difference in temperature from the surface up to the mid and upper levels. You increase that difference in temperature, you increase the instability, and the result then is that you get a big blow up of thunderstorms overnight. It's really ideal for development. So we do think that this thing is going to get stronger. It is forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane as it comes in tomorrow morning right along the northern Gulf Coast. It's going to start to affect the coast tomorrow, and then it's going to continue to get worse as we go through the day. So we're starting to get the fringe effects tomorrow morning in northwest Florida, but then the wind is really stepping up in the afternoon and then stepping up even more as the core of the storm comes on shore towards tomorrow evening and going through the evening hours. So you don't have very much time to get ready for this thing. You've basically got tonight and tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow afternoon, winds are picking up, starting to really step up into tomorrow evening, and maybe even hurricane force winds coming on shore by tomorrow evening and through the night. One of our big worries is going to be this push of onshore flow, and that push of onshore flow is driving into a coastline that is concave. You see the shape right there? So because of that shape, that concave shape, that allows water to pile up even more than it would otherwise. So that's why we've got such a big concern about storm surge. Storm surge warnings now in effect in southwestern Alabama. That includes Dauphin Island, western part of Mobile Bay there, all of southern Mississippi, and much of southeastern Louisiana as well. That's life-threatening storm surge that is possible here in the next 36 hours. So and it's really going to be more like 24, actually more like about 18 to 24 hours when we start to see that really coming in. So you've got to start thinking now about what you're going to do tomorrow as the storm comes in. There's a look at the storm surge forecast, 3 to 5 feet above normally dry ground. So when you think about the highest level that water ever gets to in your area, imagine putting 3 to 5 feet of water on top of that. So that's, up to here on me. That's a lot of water. That will kill you if you're anywhere near it. So you've got to be away from the coast as the core of the storm is coming on shore. And again, that's going to be later tomorrow from the afternoon into the evening. The only thing that's going to help us out a little bit is that we're going to be looking at a low tide right as the storm is coming on shore. It'd be a lot worse if we were looking at a high tide, but it's still going to be potentially very bad indeed. Now, here's a look at the hurricane warnings in effect there across southern parts of Mississippi in Alabama. Doesn't mean we're going to get hurricane force winds in all of those areas. It means that it is possible across that stretch of area. And we know the tropical storm force winds are very, very likely in these areas. They're going to start to come in tomorrow morning there in northwest Florida, continue to move in into the early afternoon at the earliest there in northwest Florida, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, and then continue to move farther onshore into Mississippi and southeast Louisiana going into tomorrow evening. So it's going to be, again, really tomorrow afternoon when this thing is really starting to come on shore. That's the biggest problem here. Holiday weekend, is everybody paying attention?
Right.
This thing is changing very quickly. I mean, it was, kind of not much of anything just a couple of days ago, and then here we're talking about a hurricane coming in tomorrow.
Right. Well, the good news is they can hopefully wake up and watch the Weather Channel if they're not watching it right now, by the way, and have a little time, at least the morning hours, right, to still prepare.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the timing of all this. Not so much when the impacts begin, you just covered that, but it's moving pretty quickly. Is this going to keep moving? So is this going to be a quick hit, short duration event, or is this thing going to stall out a little bit and have more of a flood concern?
Well, I think that, at least initially it's going to be driving around that ridge and probably keeping up its forward speed. So it's going to be moving, 15 miles per hour, something like that. So at least along the coast, that's not going to be as big of a concern as it would be, in the case there are storms that just stall out completely, as we saw with, like Harvey last year. It's not going to do that. Okay. So that will hold, yes, it will keep going. It's going to hold down the rain potential a little bit. We're looking at 5 to 8 on the high end, whereas, you can see, many multiples of that when the storm is really moving slowly. So that will help a little bit. It's also going to help in terms of the amount of time that the storm has over the open water. So that's good, but the problem is that you've got such a small storm, and these things can ramp up or down very quickly.
Our intensity forecasting is not so great. So
no, it's not.
Saying a Cat 1, but could it be stronger than that?
Absolutely,
is that possible?
It could be. Absolutely. I mean, you've got water temperatures that are in the upper 80s all along the path of the storm. 80 degrees is generally what is requisite for a tropical storm to develop and maintain itself. That can be different in different situations, but certainly there are a lot of things that favor development here. So I wouldn't say it's impossible.
All right, stay tuned. More changes to come, I'm sure. Thanks so much, Carl. We'll have continuing coverage right after this.
This program brought to you by Otezla. Learn more at otezla.com.
If you have psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats moderate to severe plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Once daily TWC helps you control your blood sugar. TWC not only provides stable blood sugar control around the clock, the Max Solo Star holds 900 units of insulin in one pen. This could mean fewer refills of TWC. All that and a $0 copay. That's something to groove about.
Let's go tonight. Share the spice of life.
From the makers of Lantus, TWC provides blood sugar lowering activity all day, all night, and beyond. Proven blood sugar control all day and all night, and can significantly lower your A1C. TWC is used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. It contains 3 times as much insulin in 1 milliliter as standard insulin. Don't use TWC to treat diabetic ketoacidosis during episodes of low blood sugar or if you're allergic to insulin. Get medical help right away if you have a serious allergic reaction, such as body rash or trouble breathing. Don't reuse needles or share insulin pens. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which can be life-threatening. It may cause shaking, sweating, fast heartbeat, and blurred vision. Check your blood sugar levels daily. Injection site reactions may occur. Don't change your dose of insulin without talking to your doctor. Tell your doctor about all your medicines and medical conditions. Check insulin label each time you inject. Taking TZDs with insulins like TWC may cause heart failure that can lead to death. Find your rhythm and keep on grooving. To experience TWC, ask your doctor.
DiGiorno crispy pan pizza bakes fresh in its own pan and travels straight to your table. Unlike delivery that goes from oven to box to bag to car to traffic to wrong houses. DiGiorno delivers a crispy caramelized crust straight from your oven. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
When I walked through a snowstorm for a cigarette, that's when I knew I had to quit. For real this time. That's why I'm using Nicorette.
Only Nicorette gum has patented dual-coated technology for great taste plus intense craving relief.
Every great why needs a great how.
To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. America's Morning Headquarters has you covered.
We've already got some rain out there this morning.
So start every day with the best in weather. Join Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno. Weekday mornings starting at 5 for AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
The only Emmy-nominated weather network on cable.
When this much rain falls, it is a life-threatening situation.
Is the most essential coverage on TV.
We have 2 different looks of Tropical Storm Gordon. On the left is how the storm's shaping up on the radar. And on the right, a look at the storm dumping rain in Naples, Florida. You can see the gusty wind and the rain that was coming down here earlier in the day. And you can see how it was collecting on the roadways as well as into some of the gutters and even into people's yards as well. Flooding ongoing right now in parts of Florida. Let's show you the latest now as we've got an update on Tropical Storm Gordon. Packing winds around 60 miles per hour. Gordon has been moving through Florida, including the city of Naples. And that's where we find our Mike Seidel. And he has the latest as the storm is pushing out to sea.
As the sun sets here on Labor Day here in Naples, Florida, what's left of Gordon has moved off the coast. There's still a lot of lightning out there. You may see a flash or two behind me. But by and large, the rainfall is over with. And it was heavy rainfall, not only here, but over in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Miami picked up 2.5 inches of rain from Gordon. Wind gust at the airport to 48 miles an hour. In the Keys, we had wind gust over 60 miles an hour. And look at the rain coming down. This is this morning at 7:40 a.m. We were on Key Biscayne. This is southeast of downtown Miami, right out in Biscayne Bay. and nothing to stop the wind and the rain by that matter. And look at how hard it was coming down. These are rainfall rates basically about 2 or more inches an hour. Fortunately, it doesn't rain for the entire hour. Then we trekked across Alligator Alley, came over to Naples, and we ran right back into the bands on the east side, wrapping around Tropical Storm Gordon. As it pulls away, we ended up with some heavy rainfalls. Naples Airport picked up 1.25 inches in 1 hour late afternoon, and wind gusts to nearly 40 miles an hour. So we're done with Gordon here, and we're only 1 week away from the anniversary of Irma. The worst here, a far cry from Irma, no issues on the beaches, no beach erosion, no coastal flooding. It's just a matter of getting out and picking up the palm fronds that were blown down by these gusty winds. Gordon heading that direction towards the Gulf Coast and areas to our north and west. Meanwhile, back here in Naples, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, the worst of the weather the next couple of days. A few scattered showers, and watch those rip currents.
Thanks so much, Mike Seidel, reporting for us tonight. Let's show you the radar, and let's talk about some areas that are really seeing some active weather, not just across parts of Florida, but other parts of the country too. But we'll start there in the Sunshine State, where the impacts from Gordon are bringing in some really heavy downpours. So we're tracking this line of storms that's pushing in just to the west of the Naples area. That's going to be producing some really heavy rain. In fact, radar estimating in the last 12 hours, we've had almost 5 inches here. So that's going to be feeding up in this direction over towards Fort Myers. So be aware that you've got more wet weather coming your way. And then notice into Miami-Dade County, down towards the south and west of Miami, where we've seen up to 5 inches of rain as well. We do have some river flooding going on, a flood warning for DeSoto County, and this includes the city of Arcadia. We are talking about the Peace River, which is rising at this time. So if you live in those flood-prone areas near that river, you may need to get out. So heed any warnings in that location. Jacksonville, your storms are moving up towards the north and west, but notice a few offshore may be swinging through there, likely just north of Jacksonville and on up into southern parts of Georgia as well. And then we want to show you what's happening in Texas tonight. We have incredible thunderstorms that are just lighting up the sky right now in San Antonio and to the north of there, producing some torrential downpours. So a flash flood warning has been issued that includes Bexar and Comal counties. This is until 11:45 tonight, so that's a long ride. Notice that this storm is not moving a whole heck of a lot, so it has been bringing rain over those same areas and continues to be a concern. Over just the last 3 hours, radar is estimated it's brought between 3 to 4 inches of rain, so there's nowhere for that water to go. It's going to take a while before things recede.
Does this map show the Peninsula Trail?
You won't find that on a map. I'll take you there. Take this left.
If you listen real hard, you can hear the whales.
Hear that? Our Subaru Outback lets us see the world. Sometimes in ways we never imagined.
What do you mean it's not working out, Craig? I mean, I just introduced you to my parents.
Craig and Sheila broke up.
What? Really? Craig and Sheila broke up? No. Craig and Sheila broke up. Is she okay? Never liked that guy. Oh, that was her. Craig and Sheila broke up.
Craig and Sheila. As long as office gossip travels fast, you can count on Geico saving folks money.
Craig and Sheila broke up. What?
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with the top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Michelin Premier. Safe when new, safe when worn.
If you're at home asking why, we've got a guy for that.
That's right, Carl Parker looking at the atmosphere. Energetic? You're gonna love it. That's well done.
Slow clap.
Use the hashtag WUTV on Twitter.
Yeah, Mom.
And this is gonna be fun stuff.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 5 on the Weather Channel.
We nailed it.
Attention, those implanted with a hernia surgical mesh. If you have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement, listen closely. Have you experienced infection, chronic pain, mesh failure, or other complications after being implanted with a hernia mesh device? You are not alone. and lawsuits are forming against the manufacturers. Mesh devices have been known to cause serious complications. If you or a loved one have had a hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed a revision surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your pain and suffering and medical expenses. If you or a loved one experienced any of these issues after the implantation of a hernia mesh device, call now. Don't delay. Call the Rely On Group today to be connected to a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. We're available 24/7 to take your call.
Call 800-627-3902. That's 800-627-3902.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock.
Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
Currently in our area, 79 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, skies clearing overnight. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Low 72. Tuesday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 82. Chance of rain 80%. Tuesday night, thunderstorms. Low 71. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Looking live in New Orleans tonight, a lot of people buzzing around, but a tropical storm warning is in effect here right now, along with a flood watch. Several inches of rain are on the way from Gordon, along with strong gusty winds that could lead to some spotty power outages. So it's not just New Orleans that's under a tropical storm watch. It's much of southeastern Louisiana, including Baton Rouge and Slidell. Notice the hurricane warning in place in the bright purple color here from east of Slidell, right from the Pearl River, stretching over to the Alabama-Florida state line. That includes Mobile and Mobile Bay, as well as Biloxi, Mississippi, and Pascagoula. And then we've got a tropical storm warning, which includes just a small portion of the panhandle of Florida, but stretches over towards Okaloosa and Walton counties. On top of this, we have our flash flood watches, as we're expecting as much as 4 to 8 inches of rainfall in some locations. Of course, the heaviest rain is going to be coming in near and just to the right of the center of the storm as it tracks. 5 to 8 inches in the dark orange area that you can see there, but notice that we could even see a swath of 3 to 5 inches over towards Jackson, Mississippi. So this is going to get inland a little bit as well. So not just flooding from the rain that comes down, but some water that could be moving in as well, as we call it storm surge. Storm specialist Carl Parker is joining us now to talk a little bit more about this life-threatening surge threat.
Yeah, you know, there's a saying, it is hide from the wind and run from the water. You've got to get away from the coast when you're talking about a storm surge of several feet, which is exactly what we are going to see tomorrow in parts of Mississippi and Alabama, and also in Louisiana. Now, this is a model forecast showing you the area of strong winds, which is now mostly to the north of the center, out of the Gulf of Mexico, the center being right about in there. We expect that the storm, with all this time overnight and into early tomorrow, out over very warm water with not a lot of wind shear, is likely going to strengthen. Doesn't have very far to go to become a hurricane. It's 60-mile-per-hour storm right now, 74 makes it a hurricane, so it could easily be a hurricane as it comes in tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And by this time, what it's doing is it's starting to pile up the water in that concave area of coastline from Florida back around and into Louisiana. So that's really going to allow the water to add up. So right now there are storm surge warnings in effect in southwestern parts of Alabama, Dauphin Island, across southern Mississippi, all of the coastline of southern Mississippi, and parts of Louisiana coastline as well. And this is what we're looking for in terms of surge. It's going to be about 3 to 5 feet on the high end, we think, from just west of Mobile Bay and across into Mississippi, and then 2 to 4 feet on either end of that. what kind of surge or what kind of impact would we see with a surge like that? Well, let's take a look. You might be surprised. 1 to 3 feet of surge is easily enough to pick up a car and sweep it away. So if you're trying to drive out when a surge like that comes in, you're not going to make it. And when you look at 3 to 6 feet of surge, you talk about a lot of debris getting into the water. That is really life-threatening by the time we get to that level. And it's not out of the question that we could see that type of surge there.
Yeah, not to mention the large battering waves on top of that.
Right.
It's not just the smooth water coming in. Well, as Carl just mentioned, some areas could see 3 to 5 foot storm surge. Storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel breaks down some other hazards.
The biggest threat to life and property with a landfalling hurricane is the flooding that comes with storm surge. A great way to demonstrate the impact of storm surge is through our augmented reality product exclusively here at the Weather Channel. All right, guys, let's bring up the scale. Check this out. All the way from 1 through about 9 feet and beyond. We're going to start here with a 3-foot storm surge. This is very significant because keep in mind, it only takes a couple of inches of water to knock you off your feet and about 1 or 2 feet of water to get a car to float. This is moving water. This is not like the water at your pool. This can do some significant damage. Let's go beyond that. Let's check out 6 feet, all right? We're up to 6 feet. That's taller than a lot of people, and it can carry your car away, float it away. And also, don't forget, this is nasty water. There could be all kinds of debris inside of there, all kinds of sharp objects, maybe even toxic chemicals. Let's go beyond that. There we go, up to 9 feet. Gosh, if you were on your first floor trying to escape this, you are in real trouble. You've got to go up to the second floor. And then beyond that, guys, imagine that, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 foot of storm surge. You know what that can do? That can carry your house away entirely. So remember, absolutely, the biggest threat to life and property with a landfalling hurricane is storm surge, so you need to listen to your local officials and act as you are ordered to do so.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and that sunrise something. I honestly feel that way about Jimmy Dean sausage. Get yourself a large chunk of that good morning feeling.
Oh, that smells good.
Eucerin has been solving dry skin problems for over 100 years. Try Eucerin Advanced Repair for dry, itchy, rough skin, for immediate relief and 48-hour moisture. Now try Eucerin Advanced Cleanser in the shower.
Here we go. Discover. I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really? Yeah.
We just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
When you're expecting a little angel, be soft. When your little angel expects a lot from you,
You gotta be kidding me, little dude.
be strong. Life takes softness and strength, sometimes over and over and over. That's why we make Angel Soft Mega with more of the value you already love.
I never peed this much in my life.
If it feels like you live in the bathroom with recurring constipation and belly pain, talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Yes, Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess can help relieve your belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Linzess is not a laxative. It helps you get ahead of your recurring constipation. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. So say yes to help for recurring constipation, yes to help for belly pain. Talk to your doctor and say yes, Linzess.
Daily dollar deals are here at Long John Silver's, where you can get a different deal every day. Like sliders, Baja fish tacos, and popcorn shrimp. Popcorn chicken, crab cakes, and sweets. All for just $1 each. Only at Long John Silver's.
The wonderful thing about Polident is the fact that it's very, very tough on bacteria, yet it's very gentle on the denture itself.
Polident consists of 4 powerful ingredients that work together to deep clean your denture in hard-to-reach places.
I don't keep track of regrets, and I don't add up the years. But what I do count on is Boost.
Delicious Boost High Protein Nutritional Drink now has 33% more protein, along with 26 essential vitamins and minerals. Boost High Protein. Be up for life.
This is Laura, and Butch, and Tank, and Tiny. And this is Laura's Mobile Dog Grooming Palace. Laura can clean up a retriever that rolled in foxtails, but she's not much on articles of organization.
Articles of what?
So she turned to LegalZoom.
They help me out.
She means we help with her LLC, trademark, and a lot of other legal stuff that's part of running a business. So Laura can get back to the dogs.
Would you sit still?
This is Laura's Mobile Dog Grooming Palace, and this is where life meets legal.
To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. America's Morning Headquarters has you covered.
We've already got some rain out there this morning.
So start every day with the best in weather. Join Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno. Weekday mornings starting at 5 for AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
Gordon is likely to become a hurricane as it moves closer to the Gulf Coast tonight. But right now, the tropical storm is dumping flooding rain and bringing gusty winds to South Florida. You can see some of those impacts being felt in places like Hollywood and Miami, Florida. And soon, places along the Gulf Coast, like Gulf Shores, Alabama, will be coming face to face with this storm. So Gordon has set off a number of watches and warnings along the Gulf Coast. Louisiana also issuing a state of emergency now. Our storm specialist Carl Parker joining us to tell us what we can expect from Gordon, kind of what it's doing right now and where it's going. It's over open water, so I'm strengthening in the forecast.
Nothing really holding it back at this point. The wind shear is expected to be below the limit that would really have an impact on the system. The water temperatures are very warm, and so we have every reason to believe that this storm is going to be a hurricane as it comes in tomorrow. That's why hurricane warnings are now up along the northern part of the Gulf of Mexico. So you do not have very much time. Think about this, folks. If you're in northwest Florida, southwestern parts of Alabama, southern Mississippi, and also into southeastern Louisiana, you've got basically tonight and tomorrow morning, and then the winds start really picking up actually as early as tomorrow morning in northwest Florida, maybe by the middle of the day into parts of Alabama and Mississippi, and into the afternoon in Louisiana. So you do not have very much time at all. Right now, a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm, so it doesn't have very far to go to become a hurricane, moving west-northwest at 17 miles per hour. That forward motion is important because that's going to give it about a day out over the open water. But then after that, it's going to get on shore, of course, and then we're going to be looking at it weakening pretty rapidly. And because it will at least initially be moving along pretty quickly, that's going to hold down the rainfall amounts. They get a lot higher when the forward speed comes down. It will, however, in the longer term, begin to really slow down as it gets farther northwest and farther inland. So the official forecast calling for a Category 1 hurricane making landfall most likely late tomorrow, and that is somewhere along the northern Gulf Coast, anywhere from, say, southwest Alabama into Mississippi or into southeastern Louisiana. But keep in mind this cone here, this is where the center line of the storm is likely to be. This is not an impacts cone. The impacts are going to be well outside of that area. Now, when you look at the satellite picture right now, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't really look like it's that well formed of a storm. Don't be fooled by that, because when you look at the radar, you can see it's got a very well developed core. See the semicircle showing up right in there? So that is a developing eye wall, and this thing is going to be out over the open water overnight. And oftentimes tropical cyclones have a big flare up in convection. The storms get a lot stronger overnight because the instability increases. And so it would not be at all surprising to see a much better formed storm tomorrow morning when you wake up, and one that is a good bit stronger. And it's not outside of the realm of possibility that it gets even stronger than Category 1. So please, folks, don't be thinking, oh, this is just going to be a Category 1 storm. We've been through this. We know what this is like. Every situation is different, and intensity forecasting in particular is very, very difficult. So do not think that your past experience has any bearing on this particular situation. And if you're asked to leave by emergency managers, we want you to take that very, very seriously. This is life-threatening storm surge that we're talking about there in those areas where there is a storm surge warning. Southwestern Alabama, Dauphin Island, over across southern parts of Mississippi, Biloxi, Pascagoula, and then into southeastern Louisiana as well, not quite to New Orleans there. And 3 to 5 feet is what we're looking at on the high end As you know, there's a very shallow shelf just offshore on the northern Gulf Coast that allows that water to pile up, as does the concave nature of the coastline there. So that is among our chief concerns. Hurricane warnings also in effect. Southern parts of Mississippi, southwestern Alabama. Does that mean you're necessarily going to get hurricane winds, hurricane force winds? Not necessarily, but there's a chance that you will, and there's a very high chance that you will get tropical storm force winds in these areas, basically between Pensacola and New Orleans, southern Mississippi. That's where we're going to be talking about some exceptionally strong winds coming in, particularly late in the day tomorrow. This is not a really big system. It's got a rather small core, so that core is going to have a lot to do with who gets the very worst of the wind. And as one model paints the picture here, we see winds gusting up to 40, 50 miles per hour by late afternoon tomorrow. So again, by that time, it's too late to make any preparations. You have to have done what you were going to do by that time. And then we go into 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Look at that. Winds gusting 60 to 75 miles per hour in Gulfport. So that is your hurricane with a big onshore push of wind and water there. And even into 3 o'clock in the morning, we've still got winds gusting 50, 60 miles per hour in Gulfport. So this is going to be something that goes on through the night and then gradually subsides as we get into early Wednesday. Let's also talk about power outages, and they are likely across southern parts of Mississippi as well as southwestern Alabama and southeastern Louisiana. Jackie, over to you.
Let's get you updated with what we know right now. The governor of Louisiana has declared a state of emergency ahead of Gordon. Heavy rain, tropical storm force winds, and a storm surge likely in parts of the state. Also, word tonight that Grand Isle, Louisiana is under a voluntary evacuation order due to Gordon. Storm surge and flooding due to the heavy rain and is also a big concern there. And in New Orleans, the city saying that a voluntary evacuation of areas outside the levees is underway. Our Paul Goodlow is in New Orleans tonight, and he has a look at how the Big Easy is getting ready for Gordon.
Nightfall has come here to New Orleans, a city that a lot of residents were kind of surprised that Gordon was headed this way. They started the weekend with a chance of maybe some scattered showers with a different system that's pushed on past here. They're ending the holiday weekend with the potential of a hurricane as we head on towards this time on Wednesday, making landfall hopefully east of here. But the city of New Orleans is trying to prepare. They've been handing out sandbags in the area because flooding is the biggest concern here. And by the way, the city has parking restrictions suspended starting 2 o'clock on Tuesday to perhaps aid in people preparing for the onslaughts of what comes with Gordon. Even the governor of Louisiana declared a state of emergency as he is urging residents of the state and this area to be prepared for Gordon.
This storm is still a very real threat to Louisiana. Nobody should think that we're out of the woods just because it is the Mississippi and Alabama coast that currently are under hurricane warnings.
There's a flash flood watch that goes into effect here starting at noon on Tuesday, going through the night and actually till midnight on Wednesday. The big concern here is flooding here in New Orleans. They have pumps which could handle an initial inch for the first hour, then a ½ inch of rain every hour after that. But we hope that the pumps will stay working and function at that capacity because we could see very heavy rain with a tropical system, maybe even a hurricane approach this area. The good news is outside of New Orleans, parts of southern Louisiana, take a look at this graphic. It's called the flash flood guidance. We need to have 3 to 4 inches of rain per hour to cause flooding in areas outside of New Orleans. That type of rainfall in New Orleans will cause flooding for sure, but outside you have to have that type of heavy rain or more to cause flooding. That's some good news is other areas can handle heavy rain like that, not so much here in the city. And hopefully with a forward speed, the thing comes in and moves on out, and we see some sunshine as we head on towards maybe mid-afternoon on Wednesday. That's best case scenario. Let's pray for that, and as people prepare for the worst case scenario, which could mean flooding here in the city of New Orleans.
All right, Paul, hoping the Big Easy gets off easy. What about some other cities along the Gulf Coast? Let's show you a few of them and the big impacts that they'll be receiving. This is for Biloxi, Mississippi, where winds could be gusting 50 miles per hour or better. The timing of that coming in from Tuesday evening through early Wednesday morning. So the worst of those winds likely coming in the middle of the night or at least after dark. And it's going to be a little bit more of a threat just as a result of that when you can't see what's going on. So rainfall about 5 to 8 inches and storm surge could reach as high as 5 feet. Mobile, Alabama, wind gusts of 35 miles per hour plus could get strong enough here where we'll be dealing with a few spotty power outages. The timing of that between Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning, 5 to 8 inches of rain for Mobile as well, and storm surge up to 4 feet. Let's show you some of the timing of all of this, of what we can expect in the next 24 hours and ongoing. Notice not a lot of action early in the day for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is a really good time for you to get outside, do what you need to do, secure things outdoors, get your shutters up if you haven't done that, if you need to do that, or get out if you're being told to get out. Once we get towards the afternoon hours, we're going to start to see those gusty winds fill in, especially into parts of the Florida Panhandle, and then pushing westward. Notice spotty showers and thunderstorms possible in parts of Louisiana as well as over towards Mobile. We do have flash flood watches in effect here where we could get some of those heavy downpours, and that will be leading northward as we head through the day tomorrow and throughout your Wednesday as well.
Get more to your door. Introducing same-day delivery from Target.
Heartburn and gas? Now fight both fast. New Tums Chewy Bites with gas relief. All-in-one relief of heartburn and gas. New Tums Chewy Bites with gas relief.
Enhance your moments. San Pellegrino, tastefully Italian.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard. With feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
Nothing beats the comforts of home. Introducing new Scott Comfort Plus. It's 3 times stronger for unbeatable comfort. It's how Scott Comfort Plus families keep life rolling.
Are we there yet?
You don't always use your smartphone for directions.
Okay, guys, out there.
Or to laugh out loud.
They're in the middle. Yeah.
But when it matters most, you count on TracFone to keep you connected for less. Our smartphone plan gives you talk, text, and data with unlimited carryover starting at $15 a month. No contract. All with nationwide 4G LTE coverage. Get top smartphones or bring your own phone. TracFone for moments that matter.
We give every Honda ATV and side-by-side the technology you need to seize the day. Class-leading technology like automatic dual-clutch transmission. Exclusive to Honda, the DCT lets you ride in automatic mode or manual mode, so you get sporty off-road performance and workhorse muscle all in one. And now, you can seize the day and seize the deals with factory-to-dealer incentives on the Honda ATV or Pioneer side-by-side you've been waiting for. It's all happening at the Honda 4-Wheel Clearance Event, going on now.
Dear foremothers, your society was led by a woman who governed thousands, commanded armies, yielded to no one. When I found you in my DNA, I learned where my strength comes from. My name is Courtney McKinney, and this is my Ancestry DNA story.
Now, with 2 times more geographic detail than other DNA tests. Order your kit at AncestryDNA.com.
Lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Corona Premier.
Breaking news right now. We've got live pictures coming in from the San Antonio area. Heavy rain is coming down now and flooding being reported. There you can see the lights flashing as emergency personnel are working to keep everybody safe during the situation. You can kind of see the overpass there, and we're getting word that some water has collected and it's standing there underneath that overpass. The Stone Oak area has been hit especially hard. We have some reports of significant flooding there and potential, not confirmed yet, potential water rescues may be underway. Radar is estimating we've had about 2 to 4 inches that has already fallen and more rain to come. So look at this area here on the radar. You can see that this whole complex of thunderstorms just really hasn't been moving a whole heck of a lot, leading to this really heavy rain and the flooding event that's unfolding. We do have a flash flood warning that's in effect until 11:45 tonight as a result of this. So here we are querying our radar and what's been taking place just over the last 3 hours. So this has only been a couple of hours that this has been going on. And this whole gold area here, this is where radar is indicating that potential of 3 to 5 inches. And we are seeing reports on social media that in the Stone Oak area that rain gauges are tipping over at 5 inches plus of rainfall. So this will be something we're going to continue to track. This is on the north side of San Antonio. Again, a flash flood warning remain in effect there, including Bexar County until 11:45. I think we could get a good 1 to 2 inches of rain on top of what we already have. And notice all the lightning strikes associated with this as well. So we don't have a severe weather component in terms of damaging winds or any hail associated with this. This is primarily a flood threat ongoing right now, but we also do have that thunder and lightning, which in itself is a danger. Barricades are being set up, so you do not want to drive through those barricades, right? When you encounter water-covered roadways, you want to find an alternate route. So this is going to continue over the next couple of hours. You can see how tall the 3D approach that we have here on our radar, showing you those storm tops that are continuing to build, and they're actually kind of back building a little bit more farther down towards the south. So we're really keeping a close eye on you. For folks south of I-10, you're doing okay right now, but everything up towards the north right now, fair game for flooding as that storm just kind of sits there and continues to bring this really heavy rain in a very short period of time. Well, parts of South Florida saw Gordon move through a few hours ago, and that brought some heavy rain and some gusty winds. Our Mike Seidel shows us what conditions were like in Naples.
The number one impact in South Florida and here in Southwest Florida today from Tropical Storm Gordon was the heavy rainfall. We did get some wind gusts over 50 miles an hour on the southeast coast, but by and large, few if any power outages, and the worst of the cleanup will be palm fronds. Let me take you back to where we started our day. Key Biscayne, southeast of downtown Miami, fully exposed, and look at the heavy rainfall. This squall came through about 7:40. At the time, the wind was clocked just off Miami Beach, South Beach at 56 miles an hour. And the rainfall rates of up to 2 inches an hour. Miami ended up with 2.5 inches of rain today, just under 2 inches in nearby Fort Lauderdale. Then we drove across Alligator Alley, ended up here this afternoon, and picked up where we left off. The squalls on the east side, swirling around Gordon as it moved south of Marco and out to sea. And look at the rainfall, what it did here along the boulevard in Naples. Standing water, some of it about a foot deep, cars running through the water, and just horizontal rain across the area. Some of these squalls producing wind gusts here in Naples up to 37 miles an hour. And then this evening we take the last bit of light and lightning flashing out over the Gulf of Mexico. The tropical storm warning has been discontinued. Better weather ahead, although watch out for the rip currents, especially on the east coast of Florida, continuing during the day Tuesday.
All right, thanks so much. Mike Seidel reporting for us from Naples. Well, that storm is now pulling away from the Florida peninsula. And you can see, though, that there are still some impacts. So we'll have to watch some of those stronger showers and thunderstorms, those lines that may be feeding up still on the west coast of Florida. But this is a 60-mile-per-hour maximum sustained wind storm. We are tracking this for you right now, and we are waiting for the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. We will have that by the top of the hour, so stay with us.
Hungry to explore unique flavors? Try new Stouffer's Urban Bistro with ingredients like Kentucky bourbon aged in charred oak barrels for that sweet taste. Feed your hunger for flavors like bourbon glazed chicken with new Stouffer's Urban Bistro. Stouffer's, what are you hungry for?
Feel the clarity of non-drowsy Claritin and relief from symptoms caused by over 200 allergens, like those from Buddy. Because stuffed animals are clearly no substitute for real ones. Feel the clarity and live Claritin Clear.
There's an opportunity in every window. A view connecting in here to an entire world of out there. So start your day opening the window to your weather with AMHQ. Watch Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams, and Jen Carfagno looking out at the stories and the science behind your forecast. Open up your mornings with AMHQ on the Weather Channel.
Jane, this is Jim from OnStar. I've contacted help, and they're on their way.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm going to stay with you until help arrives.
Thank you. Dear, it just came out of nowhere.
Currently in our area, 78 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, skies clearing overnight. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Low 72. Tuesday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 82. Chance of rain 80%. Tuesday night, thunderstorms. Low 71. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
I always wanted to speak French, but I never had the time. And then I tried Babbel.
Babbel, the quick way to get conversational in a new language. Babbel's award-winning interactive technology gets you speaking right away.
After just 4 weeks, I was feeling confident enough to have simple conversations in French. Their app uses a science-based space repetition method that really helps you retain what you learn. It works.
So, which language do you want to speak? Now, you can try Babbel free, the #1 selling language learning app in the world.
You're learning phrases that you can use right away in real-life conversations. And I was amazed at how fast it was, and now I'm speaking French. I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can see I was just taught the wrong way.
Try Babbel free today. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language. Babbel, which language do you want to speak?
We have the brand new advisory from the National Hurricane Center. There have been no changes to the status of Tropical Storm Gordon. Still now a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm, still moving west-northwest at 17 miles per hour. That fast-forward motion means the storm is going to begin to affect the northern part of the Gulf Coast as early as tomorrow morning, depending on where you are. So that does not give you a lot of time to prepare for the storm. Certainly getting much worse as we go through the afternoon, and the very worst of the storm likely coming in tomorrow evening there, perhaps around Mississippi, southwest Alabama, and also Louisiana. Looking at the satellite picture right now, not incredibly well formed on satellite, but we do see a very well-developed core. See that semicircle there that is well off to the west of Sarasota, and that thing is going to be out over the open water overnight tonight. And very warm water with not a whole lot of wind shear, certainly not enough to really bother the circulation. And that's why it is felt that it's likely going to be a hurricane as it comes in tomorrow morning. Now, intensity forecasting is very difficult, especially when you've got a smaller center, and that's certainly what we're watching in this case. So it is possible that it doesn't get that strong, but it's also possible that it gets even stronger. it's possible that it turns out to be a high-end Category 1 or a Category 2 hurricane. So please, folks, take this very seriously. We're looking at life-threatening storm surge near that core as it comes on shore. A lot of very strong wind as well. And again, that's going to be coming in tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. So that really just gives you tonight and tomorrow morning to prepare for the storm. And in northwest Florida, the winds are going to begin to pick up as early as tomorrow morning. Now let's talk about the surge alerts that are in effect. Storm surge warnings there across the northern Gulf Coast in southern Mississippi as well as into Louisiana and southwestern Alabama. And so these are areas where there is a danger of life-threatening storm surge flooding. And that's going to be again inside of 24 hours here as the storm is going to be moving in tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. 3 to 5 feet is what is anticipated. So that's anywhere from far southwestern Alabama right around Dauphin Island there. Out across into all of the coast of Mississippi. So Pascagoula, Biloxi, into Pass Christian there, Bay St. Louis as well. And then you're looking at 2 to 4 feet on either end of that from south of Lake Bourne and down into the mouth of the Mississippi. And then from Mobile Bay and farther eastward over into Pensacola Bay there. In all of those areas, 2 to 4 feet is what is anticipated over normally dry ground. So if you think about how high the water ever gets in any one location, the potential is there for the water to get as high as 2 to 4 feet or 3 to 5 feet above that level, above the highest point where you ever see water. So you've got water coming in from the ocean, but then also water starting to fill up the streams and creeks and rivers. The one good thing here is that the storm is moving along, so that's going to help out somewhat with this, with this flash flood potential, but we're still going to see a lot of very heavy rain, and flash flooding is likely in southern Mississippi as well as into southeastern Louisiana, looking at 5 to 8 inches of rainfall right along the coast there on either side of Mobile Bay, southern Mississippi, and then 3 to 5 extending up along 55 and getting through many parts of southern Mississippi all the way up towards Jackson as well. So there too a very serious flood threat is going to be in place as the storm is moving in from late tomorrow right into early Wednesday. Hurricane warnings in effect as well, and that's where hurricane force winds are possible in southern Mississippi and southwestern Alabama. And here is the earliest onset of the tropical storm force winds. They'll be coming in as early as tomorrow morning in northwest Florida and then into early tomorrow afternoon there, southern Alabama, as well as into Mississippi and into Louisiana. So Jackie, as we have said many, many times, because this thing is moving along quickly, we hope that people are paying attention holiday weekend, and so we hope that folks are aware of the storm as it's coming in tomorrow.
Yeah, so easy to tune out and so many of those dangers coming in at night. It's always more dangerous at night when you can't see what's going on, and that's the big threat right now. We've got breaking news, more information now coming out of the San Antonio area where a flash flood event is underway. You can see the flashing lights there. If you look real closely, you can kind of see that there's an overpass. Well, underneath that, there is an area where there's a bunch of water that's standing down there because of some really heavy rain that has been falling just over the last couple of hours here. So this is on the north side of San Antonio where this breaking situation is unfolding. Let's go to the radar, and I want to show you what's been happening because we've had this little complex, these little clusters of thunderstorms which have really been not moving a whole heck of a lot. It just continues to kind of back build up on top of itself. So a flash flood warning has been issued now for Bexar and Comal counties until 11:45 for tonight. You can see all the bright colors there on the radar, the reds and the oranges, and notice how that's starting to dip back down towards San Antonio proper. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on what's going to be going on in the city now as well. There's a large area here near Hollywood Park, also around Stone Oak, that's been hit really hard. Radar is estimating somewhere between about 3 and 5 inches of rain has fallen, but we're getting storm reports now from viewers who are saying, hey, my rain gauge is 5 inches full and it's already overflowing that. So it gives you a real idea of how intense the rainfall is and how much more moisture's been coming down as well. There's not been a lot of rain in this part of the country as of late, so the ground hard and dry, and so a lot of this really runs off very rapidly. We'll continue to track this breaking situation as we continue through the night right now. But we want to get back to the tropics, because while we've been talking a whole heck of a lot about Gordon tonight, we have other tropical threats that are out there. So we'll go back to our storm specialist, Carl Parker. We have two other things to keep our eye on.
A couple of other things to watch right now. We're now at the statistical peak of the hurricane season. That actually is September 12th, so we're just about there, and this is definitely the heart of the season. And there are two other systems we've got our eyes on: a tropical storm right there, and then an invest area that has just come off the coast of Africa. So let's deal with the tropical storm first. 70-mile-per-hour winds with Florence here. It is now moving west-northwest at 14. It is expected to continue to be a tropical storm over the next several days as it moves off towards the west-northwest. Big question is, where is it going to go after that? And I'm going to show you the European model in just a moment. And then here is the invest area that is just off the coast of Africa, being given now a 50% chance, even odds of developing in the next 5 days. That is likely going to move more off towards the west there, south of the Cabo Verde Islands. Now, here is the European model forecast, and what we're looking at here, I know it's kind of a complicated map, but what we're looking at is the low-level spin in the atmosphere, which shows up in this green and yellow and red and blue color. So that's Florence right there. That, by the way, is Gordon right there. Here's the invest area, which is not very well organized. Let's take this forward, and we see Florence getting closer and closer to the western Atlantic. This is going into the weekend. We've got another system behind the invest area. Then we'll take it beyond that. This, by the way, the European model, very good model, shows Florence getting uncomfortably close to the southeast coast of the U.S. and the invest area moving towards the Caribbean. We'll need to watch those very carefully.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock.
Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
Today, we're opening more than 150,000 locations called Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get Domino's delivered to every single one of them. Get 2 medium, 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each.
Domino's Hotspots. Delivery to parks, beaches, and other outdoor locations near you.
So you'll be here to help protect my car?
State Farm will be here.
What about here?
Yep. What about here? Here too. Yeah.
Here?
I don't think so.
That makes sense.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
I think it was a great idea.
You should stop. Our old TV provider decided to stop providing our school's games.
So I bought this bad boy. Road trips every Saturday. And tetanus shots every Monday.
But that Dish guy, the one who listens, he heard this thing coming. And he said, switch to Dish.
Game finder.
You get every major D1 football game right here at home.
You want to check out the inside? Carpet's original.
Stay home and get every major D1 game with Dish, tuned into you.
You're watching the Weather Channel. We are tracking Tropical Storm Gordon right now. In 24 hours from now, it could be a hurricane as it approaches the Gulf Coast, making landfall sometime late tomorrow into early Wednesday morning. We're here live in the city of New Orleans, a city with unique problems when it comes to heavy rain, tropical storms, and hurricanes. We're going to talk about that as we head throughout the evening as we track Gordon. But right now, let's go back to the studio and Jackie Jarris.
So here we are, top of the hour. We want to get you caught up with Tropical Storm Gordon, which is a storm producing maximum winds around 60 miles per hour. It is pulling away from the Florida coast and likely to intensify. We're talking within 24 hours when we could potentially be seeing landfall on the Gulf Coast. We're eyeing states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, even the Florida Panhandle for all kinds of tropical threats. We want to go in depth now where Gordon is headed next and some of the impacts that you're going to be seeing even by tomorrow morning. Storm specialist Carl Parker is joining us now with more information. And Carl, we just got a new advisory in from the Hurricane Center.
New advisory and no change to the status of the storm. It is still now a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm and moving off towards the west-northwest at 17 miles per hour, fairly fast forward speed. That's good in a sense. That's going to limit the amount of time the storm has over the open water. However, it's got a good solid day out over the open water, and there's no reason to believe that it won't become a hurricane before it moves in, and that's going to be towards tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. So that does not give you very much time at all. Anywhere from northwest Florida, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, southeastern Louisiana, all of these areas could be impacted and very seriously by the storm. And so you've got to really rush your preparations to completion tonight. You've got tomorrow morning in some areas, though the winds are going to be really picking up tomorrow morning there in northwest Florida. And again, we think this thing has got plenty of time to get its act together going through the night tonight. This is the radar picture. I want you to pay attention in particular to the semicircle that's showing up right there on the radar picture. That is a developing eye wall. So that's the storm certainly showing a very well-developed core, even though it's not completely all the way around the circle there. The thunderstorms are not. You've got at least half of an eye wall that's trying to develop there, and the storm is going to be out over warm water. The greatest instability in the tropics over water is generally at night, so we expect thunderstorms are going to flare up overnight tonight. The wind shear is not very strong, so probably when we wake up tomorrow morning, this thing is going to have a very different appearance on the satellite picture. It's going to be a stronger storm, and again, there's no reason to believe that it won't become a hurricane. And don't think to yourself, well, I've been through a Category 1 hurricane before. That's no big deal. This is a smaller circulation, and small circulations can ramp up very, very quickly. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that it gets even stronger than that. The official forecast from the Hurricane Center takes it to Category 1. That's the best guess right now based on all of the available data, but it's also possible that it gets even stronger than that. There's something called rapid intensification, and there's some chance that we could see that before the storm moves on shore. So please do think about what you need to do to get out of the way of this thing. And remember, you're going to see a big push of wind that's coming onshore in a relatively concave area of coastline that allows the water to pile up even more. That's going to be towards late tomorrow as that's coming in. So we've got storm surge warnings in effect where life-threatening storm surge is possible. And we're talking about 3 to 5 feet of storm surge there, southern Mississippi, southern parts of Alabama, and then 2 to 4 in Louisiana and northwest Florida. Now, when you talk about 1 to 3 feet, that may not sound like very much, but it is enough to actually pick up a car and float it away. So if you were trying to drive through that, you'd not make it out of there alive, most likely. 3 to 6 feet, you're talking about debris getting into the water, tremendous force in that water, and that is, as we say, Jackie, life-threatening storm surge, and that is what is possible along some parts of the Gulf Coast tomorrow.
Right, and like in that animation looks kind of smooth, but we could have really large waves on top of that.
Absolutely, no question.
All right, we'll check back in with you in a little bit, Carl. We want to get you updated on what we know right now. Several Louisiana parishes, including St. Charles, St. Tammany, and Terrebonne, are distributing sandbags. As word tonight gets out, Grand Isle, Louisiana now is also under a voluntary evacuation order for Gordon. Storm surge and flooding due to the heavy rain is also a big concern. And in Alabama, several school districts have canceled classes because of Gordon, including Mobile and Baldwin counties. We have tropical storm warnings in effect for parts of Louisiana tonight, including the city of New Orleans. We want to bring in meteorologist Paul Goodlow with a look at the conditions there. Paul?
New Orleans is no stranger to tropical activity and hurricanes as well, so we are concerned for this area as Tropical Storm Gordon starts to head this way, perhaps strengthening into a hurricane as we head overnight into Tuesday. Now, the thing about New Orleans, the city, it sits below sea level, and they're kept dry by a series of pumps that, if it rains, can pump that water up and out of the city, but it has its limits. The bottom line is this city is definitely a threat. And Mayor Cantrell talked about that threat earlier.
Because of the combined threat of existing coastal flooding and the increased surge from Gordon, I'm asking residents outside of the levee protection system to, one, exercise extreme caution. At this time, I'm also issuing a voluntary evacuation order only for areas outside of the levee system.
So while there is a system of levees to protect New Orleans, not every part of the city is under and protected by that levee system. So definitely a big concern for flooding outside that area as well as inside the levees if it gets too heavy of a rain. Now we are under a tropical storm warning here. We also have coastal flood advisories for Lake Pontchartrain, and we could see some flooding in some of those areas depending on the wind and the persistence of the winds with this. And by the way, we also have a flash flood watch that goes into effect tomorrow at noon for the rest of the day and Tuesday in through Wednesday as well, because that's the big concern here. It's not so much the surge, slight concern, but the big concern is the rain, the heavy rain, and the flooding we could see in this city. The timing of this is we'll see maybe some scattered showers throughout the morning, but a better chance of heavier rain, say late afternoon Tuesday, right on through maybe mid-afternoon on Wednesday. And hopefully, if the forward speed continues rather quickly, we could see 1-2 inches widespread. Worst case scenario, maybe 3 to 5 to 7 inches. If it kind of stalls over and those bands stall over New Orleans, we could see some flooding because those pumps just can't handle that. So now it's wait and see. We hopefully have prepared for the worst as we hope for the best here in the city of New Orleans.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Paul. We want to take you live to Key West, Florida right now, where you're still dealing with some squalls as a result of Tropical Storm Gordon. In fact, at the top of the hour, a wind gust around 45 miles per hour was recorded. This little squall will continue to push through the region and eventually move off towards the west. And we'll watch for improving conditions tomorrow for Florida, but continuing to track Gordon at this time and its impact across the Keys and South Florida. We do expect also, we want to show you, I guess, some of the rainfall, too, that we've seen in this area. Check out Homestead. This was one of the heaviest downpours we saw all day, nearly 6 inches. The latest on Gordon right after this.
The fact is, there are over 9,600 roads named Park in the U.S. It's America's most popular street name. But all state agents know that's where the similarity stops. If you're on Park Street in Reno, Nevada, the high winds of the Washoe Zephyr could damage your sighting. And that's very different than living on Park Avenue in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where ice dams could cause water damage. But no matter what park you live on, one of 10,000 local Allstate agents knows yours. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
At Safelite Auto Glass, we really pride ourselves on making it easy for you to get your windshield fixed.
Let's turn in your science papers.
This teacher always puts her students first.
I did mine. You did? Oh, I can't wait to read it.
So when she had auto glass damage, she chose Safelite. With Safelite, she could see exactly when we'd be there.
You must be Pascal.
Yes, ma'am. Saving her time. So she can save the science project.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with a top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Enhance your moments. San Pellegrino, tastefully Italian.
Facial wipes may be convenient for removing makeup, but they don't always leave your skin completely clean. Try Olay Daily Facials. Simply add water to activate the dry cloth and release a unique 5-in-1 cleansing formula, which works deeply to exfoliate, tone, and soften the skin's surface while restoring hydration. Plus, each wipe provides a more complete clean than the #1 makeup remover wipe without leaving behind residue. For a more complete clean, try Olay Daily Facials. Brand power helping you buy better.
Daily Dollar deals are here at Long John Silver's, where you can get a different deal every day, like sliders, Baja fish tacos, and popcorn shrimp, popcorn chicken, crab cakes, and sweets, all for just $1 each. Only at Long John Silver's.
If you're at home asking why, we've got a guy for that.
That's right, Carl Parker looking at the atmosphere. When you get it, you're gonna love it. That's well done.
slow clap.
Use the hashtag WUTV on Twitter.
Yeah, Mom.
And this is going to be fun stuff.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 5 on the Weather Channel.
We nailed it.
The only Emmy-nominated weather network on cable.
When this much rain falls, it is a life-threatening situation.
Is the most essential coverage on TV.
All right, breaking information right now coming in out of the San Antonio area. This is in Bexar County, where a new flash flood warning has been issued now for all of Bexar County. So this now includes San Antonio proper, and you can see the wet roadways there. The windshield wipers are going, and we do have many reports of some water across the area. We've seen a good 2 to 4 inches in the last 3 hours, with additional rain continuing to come down, and we are getting reports now of the flooded streets and high water along places like Glass Canyon Road and the Stone Oak area, where evacuations are ongoing. This is near the Timberwood Park area in Bexar County. In addition to that, the Salado Creek is on the rise as of 9 o'clock. The gauge there at Wilderness Road was up to 7.6 feet. It's normally at a foot. So we're definitely starting to see some areas being threatened as that water continues to rise. We'll continue to track the situation. There you can see on the radar to your right where that warning is. And these thunderstorms just really haven't been moving a whole heck of a lot. But now we're starting to see more of that back building down towards the south, and why San Antonio proper is now getting in on that warning as well. So this is kind of hovering right around the I-10 area and northward. Here's a look at how much rain has just come down in only the last 3 hours. Last check at this, we only had gold on the map, and now we're starting to see, that bright orange showing up, indicating that 5 to 8 inches of rainfall. So it's estimating anywhere between about 3 to 6 in that isolated location. And then here you can see it starting to dip further to the south near San Antonio.